Hey, what's going on, Groovy Cats? I guess this is just a stream out of sheer boredom because I'm bored and don't know what the hell to do, so here I am. So I will just talk randomly. Oh, hey, NumbedSkull. Uh-oh. Got my sound going. There you go. Now I'm not talking over myself. All right, hopefully I have no screen sharing blunders today. I'm trying to make it so the chat will show up there. Hey, Warped. Shaggy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of bored and a bit down today, I'll be honest. Just better than sitting here and thinking to myself. So I figured I would come on here and talk, I guess. If anybody ever wants on at any time, I'm always game. So otherwise, I can just randomly talk to myself. Yeah, I saw on Twitter that you got teased with coffee, Shaggy. I don't know. I'm a coffee drinker, so I got it every morning. Not that I have good coffee, because good coffee's expensive, but I try. Oh, thanks for stopping by, 666 Jet. Hopefully this is actually all displaying the way I want to. I guess I should check. Hey, yeah, it's working. I have a really wide monitor, so I can do two windows at the same time, so I can do Google searching and leave the chat up. How about that? Although I made the chat really big, but that's all right. It looks good. Yeah, I've got a really old coffee pot. God, the one I've got's probably 11 or 12 years old, but it still works. It's one of those ones that's got like a espresso maker on the one side and a coffee maker on the other side. So I thought my wife would make espressos. I think it's made like one espresso ever, but it's made thousands of pots of coffee. So it's just a glorified coffee maker, really. Someday I'd like a nice one that has like a timer that can start for me. But the problem is those now, so many of them they shut off on their own, and mine doesn't have an auto off, and I actually like that because sometimes I'll drink coffee all morning. Oh wow, if it's nine windows. Yeah, I've never hooked my computer up to the big screen. I did buy like a 25-foot HDMI cord, so I could do it, and I've got a wireless keyboard and mouse and everything. I just never plugged it in and played with it from on the couch. I got a nice little desk setup, and it's easier for using my mic and stuff anyways. So my chair's comfy enough, I guess. So I guess I could talk about a car that I really like because forgot who posted it this morning, but this guy was over in Europe, and he had seen one of these in the wild, as we like to say, which is one of my all-time favorite cars. I used to use these in World Rally racing, the dirt and tarmac racing stuff. I really like that stuff. I used to have a Subaru, so not as avid of a fan enough to know like all the major drivers, but I know who the important ones are and kind of know a brief history of it. Saw the video you had up. What video? I don't know. I haven't even made a video in like 2 weeks. I was all gung ho about it for a while, and I thought I was gonna, have some kind of a regular schedule, but I don't know. It's like, just honest. It's like, it's just really discouraging that I work so hard to build up 6,000 subscribers, and then I only get like maybe 200 to 400 views a video. And for it to take 4 or 5 hours of my time, it's time I don't spend with my family when I'm working on a video, or time I don't spend playing my guitar. And it's just like, I have things to say, but if I'm gonna, I don't know. It just seems like a lot of work to put into it for, it seems like about a minute a viewer or something like that. Oh, except when I do it this way, though, then I can't see how many people are actually watching the stream. Oh, but it pops it out, so there's 6. It would show that counter on here, because that would be way cooler if it did. So I don't really know what I'm here to talk about. Like I said, I'm really just bored and just not feeling it today, so I'm just here. What the hell is this? This must be a Lancia concept car. I don't think I like it. Looks a little too weird. Little weird. Oh, hey, Randy. Thanks for coming by, dude. Adrian's here too. Hey, thanks for coming by. Yeah, it's like, I enjoy making videos and everything, and I've said it before. It's not really about the money. I understand that. It's just I worked really hard to gain 6,000 subscribers, and when people are telling me they don't get notified when my videos are made, then it's like, well, it's not very encouraging to put the time and effort into making a video. And I thought I had, important things to say, but maybe I just let the naysayers get to me a little too much. But sometimes, just dickheads on the internet sometimes are just a little bit more energy than I have, or it's hard to maintain. Um, I guess the composure I try to have on the internet, because certainly in private, sometimes when I see these things on here, I'll go on big old rants to my wife, and if I wanted to, do this the easy way, quote unquote, or whatever, and go for the lulls, I probably could get tens of thousands of subscribers if I just came on here and was mean and said a lot of the things I say in private. But I'm trying to actually set an example for others and not just let whatever my emotions are in the moment always rule my judgment or how I present myself to the world. So some people, I guess they're fine with going for the lulls, and not that that's not something I'm interested in too, because I certainly watch enough of those kind of content creators. It just, for me myself, I could go on here and play comedian, sure, but it just, I don't know, to me that just seems easy. That's an easy thing to do. It's harder to actually make a good argument and remain composed. Yeah, I know I should be mean, Shaggy. Well, see, you guys actually get notified because, like, I'm not saying nobody gets notified, but I had a subscriber tell me about a month ago that or she's actually a Patreon of mine, that she wasn't getting notifications and she didn't realize I'd put out a slew of new videos, and then she had found that she was unsubscribed and no bell notification, and she always was bell notified before. Yeah, I mean, I'm always about the argument. I'm not just a straight, burn down somebody numbskull, but it's just, I don't know. Just I guess where I'm coming from on it, and I've mentioned this before, but like I didn't really have a good growing up life, and not only at home but at school, and particularly in late in grade school and in middle school, I got bullied a lot. So it just, for me, um, I just have a hard time actually being mean to people. Like, I can make jokes about others when my friends are around, or like when I'm talking to my wife. It just, for me to actually put that out into the world, though, for everybody to see, is just a little bit harder thing for me to do, because that's not who I am, really. That's right, Adrian. I wish I could make porn too. I tell my wife that all the time. If I could be like a Chippendales dancer, I'd surely go do it. But they don't want no 210-pound flabby guy up there at all, especially not one with graying hair. Although the odd thing is, though, is I like, women around 50 seem to have a thing for me, and if I had a thing, wasn't married and had a thing for women around 50, I am certain that I wouldn't be without dates, because I don't know. Just like sometimes I see me and they're just like, "Oh, your mustache or your hair or whatever," and I'm like, really? Okay." My hair isn't even like how I had been wearing it last time I was on camera. It's like trying to let it grow out again. I got way more gray than the last time I let it grow out, so letting the gray flag fly, I guess, if that's what we want to say. Hey, Irish crocodile. Into cougars. Well, see, I realized a few years ago, I guess when I turned 35, I realized that 15 years older than me was going to be 50, and 15 years younger was 20. And just depending on the woman, I could be attracted to anyone in that range, really. I mean, I don't know about like marry and spend my life with, but as far as companionship, I don't know. I'm not that picky, I guess. Some people are way picky. Oh, wow. You had long hair past your shoulders. Hello, Kelly. Thanks for coming by, or stopping by, or whatever we're doing here. Yeah, I never had like super long hair. I went through, like, in my early mid 20s, I went through a phase where it was kind of mop top, 60 Beatles style kind of deal, and that's kind of what I'm going for again. And then in the 90s, I had that unfortunate, what I call the Rob Van Dam haircut. I didn't actually pull it back into a ponytail, but where it was shaved in the sides and the back, and a lot of guys pulled it back into a ponytail. I just didn't do the ponytail thing because I always thought that kind of looked a little douchey. Yeah, that's true, Adrian. Like when it gets hot, I'm not going to like this hairstyle. And in St. Louis, it gets pretty hot and humid in the summertime, but it's November, so I figure let it go for a while, see what happens. If a mohawk past your shoulders, Randy, does that mean okay, so that means like you can make it go really high then, because when it's not up, it's past your shoulders. When it's down, that would be kind of cool. Yeah, you can jump in NumbedSkull. I'll send you the link here, but I drank a lot of coffee this morning and I already have to go use the restroom, so I'll let you jump in and then you can just ramble to everybody for like 2 minutes. Hold on, I got to remember what I'm doing here though. These things. Oh, that's what I'm screen sharing and sharing all the private things that I say to people again. See, I'm not very good at this thing. Yeah, like I think bald men can typically pull it off. Like I'm not balding at all, but for a few years I wore I shaved my head just with just a clipper, with a zero guard on there, just because I was rode my motorcycle to work and I didn't want helmet head. And but then I've also used to work with a guy that's in his 50s that he's got like the Captain Picard, like the sides and the back. He's got hair, but he's got the male pattern baldness in the front top. But he's got this little wisp of hair. He grows really long and he combs it over, and I just can't help but think why. It's like he looks perfectly fine, without that little wisp of hair. But I just can't help but think when he gets ready for work in the morning, he just gets it combed at just the right angle that he can look at it and be like, oh yeah, I remember when I had hair. I don't know. I would just shut it down if I was going bald. That's what I would do anyway. I've definitely got plenty of bald friends that have embraced it, and I never think of them looking odd or anything like that. Yeah. Well, I think everybody's hairline recedes just a little bit when you get into your 30s, because like me and my wife both noticed you get like just slightly more forehead. So I think that happens to a little bit to everybody. But yeah, when it starts to really start receding though, then it's like, oh, it's either Rogaine or
Hello.
just shut it down. Hey, how's it going?
Not too bad. I made it in.
Hey, it's the first time we've ever talked. Just need to or spoke. That
Because most of the time my kids are here.
Oh, okay. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. That's what I'm trying to do. Trying to bump you up. There we go.
I can adjust it too. It's a headset mic. It's an old one.
Oh, okay. So either that or I might need to adjust. I always forget there's a volume on my microphone itself that I can adjust.
There we are. All right. So where did I leave off at? I caught two parts of the conversation as I jumped in. I was listening to both windows.
Oh, well, I don't know. I was just talking random about haircuts.
Oh, yeah. So I did have long hair once, and I was, I think, 17. Just down past my shoulders, like a mop top. I used to put it in a ponytail, and I bought an expensive leather jacket and pierced my ears and all that in high school. And finally, and I went to a church, finally a couple people convinced me to go ahead and let them cut the ponytail off. So apparently 10 of them made a huge orchestration of finally cutting all the hair off my head that I'd spent 2 years growing out. So yeah, I've never had it quite that long.
Oh wow, every time I talk it does that. So maybe I don't want to leave that up. Or I can do that. There we go. That works too. Yeah, I've never had it like quite shoulder length. I've tried, but my hair does like a flip thing when it gets a certain length. It'll go really straight, and then all of a sudden it'll start like winging out. And yeah, I've never had enough patience to let it go far enough.
Yeah, it's hard to control for a while, and then when it gets to a certain point, it's nice, and then it gets a little farther than that, and it starts doing what it wants. I don't know how women do it, but oh well.
Yeah, I don't either. My daughter got a pixie cut right before the start of the school year this year because she was trying to grow it long. But problem is though she wasn't taking care of it really well, and it was so greasy and matted. It's like she looked like she had dreadlocks almost. So I was like, well, look, here's the deal, kid. It's like I don't care. It's like you can wear your hair however you like, but the thing I insist on is that you got to take care of it because I don't want other parents thinking, we don't have you take care of yourself. You can't go to school looking disheveled. So she finally decided to go short. Now it looks cute and she doesn't have to put that much, work into it.
Oh, I can't even list how many hours I've spent watching YouTube videos on how to do a little girl's hair.
Yeah, that's when you know you've reached parenthood when you've got to watch stuff like
Well, it's
that.
like, okay, I know kind of what I'm doing to do a braid, but why does it always look so bad when I'm done? Sending my daughter with this like scrappy looking braid, but hey, it's a braid. Thank you, Daddy. Oh, you're welcome. I don't know why, but there you go.
Yeah.
So it's like I felt bad one summer. Her and I sat there. I was watching a video and I was doing her hair. She thought it was so cool, but I tangled it up so bad it wasn't even funny. But I'm doing better now. She's 5.
Yeah, it just takes some practice, I think. And of course,
Oh.
who just lets you randomly braid their hair for practice other than like a little kid? And then,
Well,
since you're the parent, anything you do is going to be awesome. So,
you don't want to send them to school looking like you half-assed it. Hey, I did your hair, but I just kind of, I threw it over itself and put a band in it. It looks good, right? No, I was trying to actually send it to school, making it look like somebody cared and did their hair, took the time to do it.
yeah. No, I'm not all up on that stuff, and my wife's not really like a girly girl either. So we're both just kind of shrug our shoulders sometimes, like I don't know what to tell you, kid.
I have a primary goal, and this is why I learned how to do this. She was coming home with all sorts of stuff in the bangs and the loose ends of her hair. And so the goal was to learn how to get her hair to stay up and out of the way for the entirety of the school day so she'd get the least amount of food and whatnot in her hair.
Good call.
So, I mean, that's the goal. The least amount of stuff in the hair makes it easier to keep the hair clean. So if you can keep the hair up in pigtails, ponytails, whatever you can do to keep it out of her face and where she's not going to keep brushing dirty hands. 5-year-old, 4-year-old kid, they're going to brush their hands through their hair, and anything on their hands just sticks to it. And it's there the rest of the day.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. The weird thing is, my daughter's gonna be 11 tomorrow, and she wears like Green Day shirts, and she's got a 21 Pilot shirt. And there's been some times now when we've gone into the stores because of having the pixie cut that she's been called sir and young man, and she's really cool about it. She doesn't ever make a big deal about it, but I'm just like I get more angry about it than she does. I'm like, looks like a girl to me, but I live with her.
My, I laugh about this. My sister-in-law, who's 13, is the same way. I think it's just something they go through at some point. It's like, you know what? I'm tired of it. I need to try something else, and this is comfortable, so this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. No, she could care less. That's the cool thing about my kid. It's like I've taught her well, so other people's opinions don't matter to her so much. So if somebody says that, she's just like, whatever. Like, they weren't mean to me. I'm like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, sometimes I think, oh, you know what? You work so hard to teach them something, you wonder if they get it. And other times you look and you go, oh, they got it. But that's not what I taught them. Where did they get that from?
Yeah,
But that works.
we just had parent teacher conferences yesterday, and that was really nice because I've worked real hard to be very civil with my daughter and done things the right way for a really long time. So I've built really good building blocks, and which will hopefully serve me well as she goes into her preteen and teen years here. But her teacher was saying how she was very mature for her age, and when there's conflicts in the class that she always does her best to mediate, and where some kids get frustrated and angry about it, like she's got a lot of patience for people that aren't getting it. I was like, wow, I don't know where she got that from, but
So you only have one?
yeah.
Yeah.
We had a really hard time conceiving because my wife had endometriosis. So like it took us about 18, almost 20 months to get pregnant in the first place. So we're just like, that was just too stressful. We didn't want to try to do it again.
Yeah. We had one. My son is he's 11. My daughter's only 5. So just before we found out we were having my daughter, we had just decided, you know what? If it ever comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll just we'll spoil one if we only have one. But when the second one came, they're almost complete opposites of each other. One's outgoing and helpful and nice and happy and huggy, and the other one needs the help and the understanding and the extra bit of coaching, you know. So I've got one on both sides. One boy, one girl.
Yeah, because there's always nurture in nature. So you know, you can do your best to nurture, but you know, there's always things about individual nature that, you know, strengths and weaknesses that you have to overcome. She had a hard time this year because before she'd started kindergarten, me and my wife was already working with her with math, and we had her adding and subtracting numbers, you know, old school style into the millions, and she was really proud of herself. And then now this year she got put into they call it math intervention. But she comes home one day just crying. She's like, they put me in the slow math class. I'm like, it's not a slow math class. It's just they're teaching this Common Core bullshit now, and it's hard. Me and my wife can't help her with it because, you know, the Common Core is more about having them understand the concepts than to just you know, do the problems. So that way they just memorize, you know, the basic 1 to 100, you know, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division like we did. And it's just beyond frustrating. So I just told her, it's like, look, it's like, I would have to go to one of those classes now. It's like, it's nothing about your intelligence. It's how they teach this stuff. And, you know, not everybody can learn the same way. So now because she's very good with like reading and comprehension and language and arts and stuff like that. So that's why it's like they kind of turn things more into word problems. So that way she can understand better.
And she's in, I'm going to guess 6th grade.
5th, but yeah.
5th. Okay, well, my son should be in 6th. I held him back a year to help him out because he was having trouble. And he brings me home his 5th grade math work this year. We changed school districts, so this district's a little harder. And he's got 5th grade, which is in this school is way more advanced than where he was. So he's had a lot of catching up to do and a lot of work to make. And I went into one of the meetings a few weeks ago, and the teacher says, this is Common Core. I can't explain how to do this math to my own kids, and I teach math. And I looked at him and I go, you send the problem home, and I will explain to my son how to get the math done. But it's Common Core. I don't care what it is. There's no way that anything should be taught that can be too hard for a kid that's being taught to understand it.
No, and I see what they're going for. It's all about pushing the kids to go into STEM fields. So they're trying to teach them math concepts that are really beyond what they need to understand at this point in time. It's like, I don't see the harm, and in fact I see a lot of good into teaching them basic arithmetic from 0 to 100 and just to memorize it. It's like, it's not important to understand factoring and all this other bullshit that they're trying to associate with it at this age. It's like, you know, she's still struggling with you know, division and multiplication of large numbers, even in the 5th grade, when these were things that, you know, me and all my classmates had mastered by the 3rd grade when I was in school.
The weird thing is, for math, this is how I almost see it, compared to what we learned at our age, being in our mid-30s, to what they're learning at their age right now. The math isn't, hey, what's 346 times 73? It's, hey, round that off, get a guess, do the guess first, then go through and do the math and see if they're close. If they're not close, you can compare the two. Well, wait, why even do the guess? Teach them how to get the right answer the first time the quickest way.
Yeah, that's the stuff I don't understand at all. It's like why are we? It's like, instead of just teaching them how to carry numbers, you know, like we used to do doing long math, it's like now they're trying to get them to break apart the number and do part of the multiplication or part of the division or part of the, you know, addition or subtraction. It's like why? It's like you're just complicating it. You're adding more steps into it than there need to be. It's like, rather than, you know, it's like when we learn how to basic count, we don't sit there and talk about counting theory, do we? We literally have objects and we count them 1, 2, 3. Well, that's the same thing when you're using the tally marks and you're doing long math. It's like, just let them see how the arithmetic works out and how to get to the right answer.
You're talking about that box chart thing where you put 300 and then 40 and then 7, and then down the side you put the 7 and 70 and then 7, and then they have to multiply each section of numbers and then add that all together to make sure it matches the right original way to do the same math that would have sufficed and you could have taught twice as much in the same amount of time. I know that chart. It took me like an hour. I sat there with my son and he couldn't figure out exactly what to do. Sorry, that's the phone.
Oh, no worries.
And I sat there. He's like, I can't figure this out. And I started going through it. I go, oh, you do it like this. I was like, nope, that answer doesn't come out. Nope, you do it like this. Nope, that doesn't come out. He goes, I think you do it like this. And as soon as he said something, I go, that is the stupidest way I've ever seen to teach someone how to do math.
Oh, I know what I see.
I go, I will show you something 10 times easier than the way they're teaching you. But that's not how we can do it. I tell you what, you learn how to do it his way. We'll go over that, and then I'll teach you a way 10 times easier you can check it with, and you can learn it the right way.
Yes, Bloodwing in the chat. He's saying that he was helping his 7-year-old grandson with math yesterday. They're already introducing algebra to him. It's like that's the same thing with my daughter. It's like even in this math intervention, she brings home these problems, and I always tell her it's okay to ask why, because I always got shot down a lot when I was a kid for that stuff. It was like, no, you ask why and what's the usefulness of this and how am I going to use it, because that's why I struggled with math. I did great up until I took my first algebra class. Pre-algebra was okay, but as soon as I started getting into straight up algebra and having to multiply and divide equations, I'm like, I still don't know what the fuck that does me today from way back then. And I said, you know what? It is completely okay to ask why and how you're going to use this, because that's the thing they never explain to you. It's like you ask your teacher, it's like, why are we doing this? And what am I going to figure this out for? And I told my daughter, it's like, look, we're already starting to see what your strengths and weaknesses are going to be. So I think we both know that you're not going to become a scientist. You're not going to be a mathematician. So, if you struggle with these things, as long as you do your best and you try to pass the class, like you're never going to get any flack from me for it, because I wasn't good at those things either. But, if you excel in words and you excel in writing and you excel in art and you excel in other things, there's plenty of jobs and careers out there available to you without having to know this crazy ass math crap that they're, and making it worse.
Do you want to know what the teachers tell you if you sit there and ask them why they're teaching it this way? Because we're supposed to teach what's on the test, and this is what's on the test. Yep. So what then are you actually, when we went to school, math started and it was done in a specific order. Okay, first let's make sure you guys know how to add your numbers. Then we'll make sure you know how to subtract. And then you subtracted right if you can add them back together. Okay, now you multiply. Now, okay, we find out if it's right by learning how to divide. Now when you divide, you multiply to check your division to see if it's right. Okay, let's move on. Now let's take the number out and give the number a letter, and you figure out what the letter is by making the equation go backwards. Oh my God, that all makes sense. What the hell are they teaching them now? Here, take this equation, make it into 3 different equations. Make this chart and graph over here. Then do an estimate, and then actually do the problem and see which one of them might be right.
Yeah. It's absolutely maddening. And
then if you get into science where you really, really have to get things right the first time, well, too bad.
Yeah. Oh, Shaggy, this is NumbedSkull. I don't know if you've seen him in the chat before, but yeah, he's making sense. But you can see it. Everybody in the chat is saying the same stuff. They're discussing this here, and I got it going, so it'll show up when people watch this back. But it's like everybody's struggling with this with their kids. So like Randy says it right. It's like why teach a kid to be an idiot? It's like we shouldn't be teaching them how to guess. I mean, we did learn estimation for sure, but you learn estimation as a quick way to figure out you're not getting ripped off when you buy something. It's not how you actually compute an answer you need an exact solution for. And that's what frustrates me, because like my daughter had the same teacher for 3rd and 4th grade, and she was awesome. And she even expressed that she didn't like Common Core. She said pretty much the same thing, that they just have standards they have to meet, but she doesn't understand why it's being taught this way either. But it's because the teachers unions get involved, and who's in charge of the teachers unions. And I just can't help but feel that this is a push to try to get more particularly girls into STEM fields by pushing math in this particular way, so that way if you can conceptualize the math, then you'll be able to understand it better when you move on to these other kind of maths. And it's like, no.
And don't get me wrong, I try to pay attention, and I think of myself as a centrist, because I try not to lean any one way or the other. I try to make sure I have all information and can make informed decisions. So that being said, I look at the way they're teaching in school, and if you look at statistical education rates, boys learn faster in the younger grades and girls learn faster in the older grades. Okay, if you want to get principal facts across and you want them to be learned accurately and correctly, you need to teach them early, and then you need to structure from that all the way through school. And yes, you will get people that, fall on the opposite end of the spectrum from the study. You're going to get girls who do really good early and then, fall off late. And you're going to get boys who are the opposite. Again, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But predominantly, you need to get those core education facts in there early so that they can build from those. Now, you're teaching them how to make graphs, charts, clouds, lines, boxes, and everything else. But can they multiply 10 times 10 or 12 times 12 in a fraction of a second, or take, $2.18 from a $20 bill and tell you got $17.82 change? They can't do that. They can't, because they're not being taught right anymore.
Exactly.
I mean, they're not being taught to think fast. They're being taught to think things over so completely that by the time they get to the answer, it's, oh, well, the calculator got it for me, so that was easy.
And I don't even necessarily see anything wrong with the calculator after you learn the basic facts. But, I'm not really a guy that's for outcome-based education, but I think there is an overpush for everybody to try to go to college. And I think, by the time they start getting maybe midway through middle school, certainly by the time they get to high school, this needs to be something where guidance counselors need to get off their asses, or the school needs to employ enough of them where they can have meetings with parents and students, and we can review the education and kind of where their strengths and weaknesses are, and then decide from that point, what is the best thing for them to learn from this point on? Because I'll be completely honest, my last 2 years of high school, were valueless for me. I mean, I was just sitting there spinning my wheels, rehashing the same crap I'd already learned, and I didn't learn anything fundamentally life-changing, other than I took an intro to law class and a sociology class, and that was it. It's like, besides that, it's like, it was just, I ended up taking, because I was being pushed really hard to go to college, so I ended up I failed a half a semester of algebra my freshman year of high school, so I had to take that second semester that I failed again my sophomore year and finally passed. Then I tried taking 2 math classes my junior year to try to get ready for college, and I took algebra 2 and I took geometry, and I was struggling mightily with them. So then my senior year, the guidance counselor in the school got pissed at me because I said that backwards. So my junior year, I said, well, hey, I don't want to go on to algebra 2 or geometry. It's like, I want to take this applied math class. And they're like, well, that's a step back and you can't take a step back. I'm like, well, I don't see any rules that say I can't take a step back. The only rule is that you have to have 2 years of math credit in high school to get your diploma. So I went and took that class. It was brilliant. We learned how to figure out area, things, volume, things that are actually useful. I mean, you really are using some of those equations, but you're using it in a practical sense where, now today I can figure out percentages of things, and I've been a manager and I could actually run a business because I learned the math that was valuable to that, not a bunch of empty sets of problems with algebra that was never going to do me any bit of good. And I think,
Right.
And I'm a big fan of Mike Rowe, and I just think that there should be more push for kids to consider trades and or go to technical schools rather than necessarily going to college and taking up a huge debt where they get enriched by having to take, 3 years of foreign language that you're paying them for.
I am all for vocational or technical schools. I actually took a 2-year VOTech school before college. When I got to college, I realized it wasn't quite the way I wanted to go, so I wasted a year of college. But the VOTech school gives you more of the hands-on learning. You actually get to sit and do it for longer with more class time and more ability to ask the questions and get in depth. It's just, I don't know about your area, but as I finished up high school and tried to get out with a menial VOTech degree, people were looking at me like, oh, that's cool. Are you going to college? It's like, well, can I get a job to help me afford to go to college? Well, when you start college, we'll hire you in your second or third year once you've learned how to do something. It's like, okay, so then I'm going somewhere else where I can start building from something and get into the job and make the money as I go. I ended up being a manager for a store for a while, and before I became an at-home dad. Man, I took college, but I never went toward what I took college for.
That's why I never went to college, because I got to a point where with my math thing, I took that applied math, and then my parents were pressuring me to get college ready. So then I took my senior year, the first semester, I took algebra 2 and geometry at the same time, and I was killing myself because there was literally 3 hours of homework to do every night, doing all these empty sets of problems, and I struggled mighty with it. I used to have to stay after school to get help from the teachers and things like that. But you know, Kelly in the chat here says, you know, like that's where she started nursing school. And like, there's a lot of good careers you can go into in vocational school or technical school without, you know, without saddling yourself with as much debt as going to college, because they're typically a lot cheaper, and you get yourself usually out into the workforce within 18 to 24 months.
Some of them, depending on the area and the demand, you can take the class and get the job at the same time. Especially, there's a few places around where I live, and I don't want to give that out, that will hire people without the experience. They'll put you in part-time while you take a few classes. Once you get done with a certain number of classes and you start getting some of your certifications, like the CPR and the RN and whatever, my sister was telling me about this. I don't directly know, but they'll hire you and help you pay for some of the classes just to employ you. So it takes some of the burden of taking the class off right there. And that's for like nursing and stuff like that around here. I haven't heard it for anything else. But, you know, it depends on what field you're going into. If there's a demand for it, some employers will pay you to learn while you're there.
And a lot of times there's apprenticeships that you can get out of going to the vocational schools as well. Like if you get into heating and cooling, if there's a shortage of workers, sometimes while you're still in the process of learning, you might be able to, I mean, you're not going to pay like, you know, a full learned wage, but, you know, you might be able to get yourself $10 an hour, you know, maybe working part-time at a heating and cooling place while you're going to school to, you know, actually learn how to repair furnaces and air conditioners. So you're getting not only classroom training, but also on the job training at the same time.
Right. I've seen a lot of that. Yeah, Havoc's a good spot for that too, where they'll hire you right out of your VOTEC training. They'll send people into the VOTEC classes, watch for a few hours on how well people work, pick a couple of guys and go, would you like a part-time job? I've seen it happen. I've seen guys get them. I mean, it starts out kind of crappy, but you work there for a year or two and all of a sudden they've got some nice paying full-time position.
Mm-hmm. And honestly, this would have been good for me in high school, because like I said, the last 2 years I kind of just spun my wheels, and I was more into like social studies and writing, and I kind of forgot until recently that I used to kind of be a writer in high school, and I was taking college level writing my senior year too, trying to get prepared for college. But that I was actually getting an A in because I was good at it. Now, like say if I wanted to be a writer for a newspaper or something like that, or to that degree, it's like, do I really need to go to a 4-year university and get a degree to prove that I'm a good writer? Or instead, could I be focused on some kind of you know, vocational direction, or even already in high school, or maybe your junior and senior years, instead of taking all these general studies things, maybe you know, actually start focusing on what you're going to do after high school, so you can get a head start and get out in the workforce.
Yeah, I was thinking that myself. And again, I took the VOTEC, and then when I got done with it, it's like, well, maybe this isn't quite where I wanted to go.
Yeah, I mean, if a kid is interested in a career that requires college, then by all means, I'm not saying people shouldn't go to college, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, you know, right now we have a college loan epidemic. We have a problem with as much student loans as there are, and there's a lot of kids that are going to college racking up a bunch of debt and then not walking out of it either with a degree at all, or a degree that's worth a shit for anything that's going to get them paid. So rather than having, you know, college be the be all end all type of thing, it's like, why don't we teach kids that it's okay to, it's not even setting your bar lower, it's just taking a different path. It's like, it's not for, college is not for everybody. I wouldn't have survived there, and that's why I didn't go, because I didn't want to take all that debt, because I knew that they were going to make me go to a bunch of classes and learn a bunch of things for quote unquote enrichment purposes to make the college seem more prestigious. But all in all, I would have been spending money paying them to teach me things that weren't getting me directly prepared for the job I wanted to go into.
When I have to say I've been around the country, but when I went to college out on the West Coast, and this was well more than a decade ago. I went in and the classes were like $20 a credit, and so I took, I want to say, just under $200 worth of credit or something like that. It was like $180, $190 I spent for one semester. And I absolutely loved it. I finished that semester, and if the price would have stayed the same, or I would have done better at the class that was my primary class, I probably would have been like, yeah, I'll stick through this a little longer. But the price for the following year went up like 70%. Ooh. So what was $20 or just under $20 a credit was almost like 40 something or $37 a credit. Yeah, I was taking, and I needed to add 2 more for the next semester, and it's like, oh, I'll go work instead. So I ended up working for a boat shop.
I don't know how old you are compared to me, but I'm 37, and I think and for me, going to college would have been half a lifetime ago almost now, and though I think tuition costs have like quadrupled in that amount of time.
Yeah.
So
I'm 34.
Okay.
I couldn't afford to go to college right now. I could not afford, even if I had a good job, I couldn't afford to go to college.
Exactly. And
but back then, you could afford it on a third of a paycheck, which is not much less than you get on a third of a paycheck now. I mean, for as much more as you make per hour, you still get taxed that much more. So I'm really not. When I was working, I wasn't making a whole lot more than I was back then. So a whole lot of good any degree or anything would have done me with the way the wages are going.
Oh yeah,
we were having this discussion the other day. The accordion. If the bottom keeps moving up, then you're just going to get closer to the top, but there's less room to move around down there at the bottom.
Yeah, for sure. And then some of it is too is they with all the deferred loans that they allow the kids to do now, and they don't even have to start paying until after they get out of college. It's like they don't really visualize how much debt they're really racking up. So then they graduate and they go, holy shit, I'm $100,000 in debt or $150,000 in debt. And then they realize, oh, I've got to work for the next 20 or 25 years before this is even going to be paid off. And if you discount the amount of student loans that they have from what they're earning, they might have been better off earning potential wise, at least within that first 20 years, they might have been better off just going into a career rather than going the route they did. Because I mean, in the long run, a lot of times it works out, but in that short term though, especially when people want to be starting families and things like that, it saddles you with a huge amount of debt and really affects your ability to be able to live your life when you've taken that much debt.
Yeah, how well can you pay a mortgage when your mortgage and your student loan debt are probably about the same amount per month?
Exactly. Yeah, I had a friend that's a little bit older than me that went to school to be a teacher, and when he graduated, he was telling me, because my wife and I had bought a house and neither of us have education past high school, and he goes, you know what the sad thing is? He goes, I'm a teacher, and you guys probably have more economic freedom every month than I do, because I'm on the poor teacher salary because I'm a new teacher, and you don't start making good money as a teacher until you've been doing it 15 or 20 years. Then you got all your student loans, and that's back when school was cheaper, like we were saying, but even still at that, he couldn't afford to go out to McDonald's and have a Big Mac with me sometimes,
Yeah. And, amazingly, those of us, some people know what this is like. As I was graduating high school, I had a, Monday through Friday evening job where I worked till 10 o'clock at night. I had a Saturday and Sunday morning job where I sat on a computer for 8 or 9 hours filing data. And then I had an evening job where I worked at another spot for another 5 or 6 hours a night. I was making good. In high school, it was awesome, $350, $400 a week, working like 50 something hours at 3 different jobs. And then all of a sudden I'm a manager in my early 30s, working like 60 hours a week, bringing home maybe 400. Yeah, 15 years later, making $3 more an hour, $4 more an hour, and I'm bringing home only like $20 more, $30 more a week.
Yeah, I was in low-level management for a while too. I was a department manager for 3 years, and similar story. I was working 65, 70 hours a week, and I took that as a promotion to oversee people that were doing the job that I previously was doing, and I figured out that I actually took a 50-cent an hour pay cut. I was just working more hours, and that's why I was making more money. So overall, I was making more money, but I also missed the first 3 years of my daughter, my daughter being alive from her birth until almost 4 years old, because I was either always gone at work or I was so dead tired when I was home, I'd always be passed out asleep.
Yep, in the chair. You'd sit down to watch TV and all of a sudden the day was over.
Yep. That's just no way to live life. It's like, that's why I try to stress with my daughter. It's like, it's not always about how much money you make. It's about the quality of life that you can create for yourself.
Well, hold on. That didn't used to be like that, though. These days, it's not worth burning yourself out for overtime, working towards a promotion or anything, because even if you get the promotion, even if you work your way up, if you make one tiny little screw up, you are as worthless to the company as a piece of used plastic. They're going to toss you out quicker than they care to. All that time you put in, all that effort, all that work you did doesn't matter anymore, because you've got nothing to cover your back. Before you could work a job for, and again, I was a manager. I lost my job over one of the stupidest reasons. But you could work and they'd look at you and go, okay, you got 8 years in. we'll do this. We'll move you to a different area of the company to do something different, and we'll both settle. Instead, it was, hey, no, we're sorry. You made this tiny little screw up that wasn't even your fault. It was a criminal's fault. But because this and this, we're going to fire you and you're unrehirable, and that goes on your employment record.
Yeah. My exit in management was not graceful either. They put me as an inexperienced manager in charge of a dysfunctional department. They had a problem with inventory growing because of other people in the building's ordering habits. And because everything's so customer service based, you get all this pressure to order things come hell or high water, but then you can only return things based on how many dollars worth of stuff you order in a quarter on a normal method versus an expedited method. And of course, they always want to order everything expedited. So like when I started taking over the department, I cleared out like $76,000 worth of old inventory. I contacted manufacturers. I'm like, hey, we don't need this stuff. I need to send it back. Like, what can we do? And worked it all out. But then 3 years later, I grew $100,000 back in my inventory.
General merchandise, it doesn't take long, depending on whether you're accruing it based on its shelf value or its wholesale value.
Exactly.
And if you're in customer service and you're doing any type of inventory or control, they want to record what your profitability off of that item is, not what you spent on the item. So while you may have spent, and in general merchandise this is the case, you may have spent $5 on this $100 pack of golf clubs, but as far as your line is concerned, that's $100 of your money, not $5, because the $5 is spent, the $100 is waiting. And that's how general merchandise works.
Exactly.
I mean, you could mark that down 90% and still make 5 cents on it, but it's that you want that full price because that's how you make your margin and your affordability and your bills and utilities. I mean, I did management for a couple of years. I understand most of it. Granted, I had to take into account general merchandise and perishables and more, seasonal and so much more.
Yeah, I didn't have to deal with perishable stuff, but my thing was since I was working in a very customer service based industry where there's lots of customer surveys. Other people in the building got to run roughshod over my department's policies, and I got overridden by upper management that no, you can't do that because it'll affect the customers, and the customers are going to get upset. But then I end up getting terminated over the inventory growing too large. It's like, well, you tied both hands behind my back and like, don't let your inventory get out of control, but no, you can't do anything to stop the problem from happening.
Oh, you almost sound like, I'm trying to think of the name of it as you're saying it, but there used to be there's a term for that when they automatically send you stuff because they get it. And then there's a term for that, but then I used to have them come after me for that too. Hey, why do you have this in your back room? Well, you sent it to me. Well, why is it back here? Because I received a memo a week ago that said it wasn't allowed to be on the floor.
Yeah, it was like I said though, for me it's worse than that because it was literally other people in other departments who I'm responsible for order things for that would put the pressure on me to do rush orders on things where like there was a buyback allowance, but the buyback allowance is only like 5% of whatever you'd order on a stock order. So if you have these people constantly telling you need to order stuff on a rush order to make the customer happy and you don't get any buyback allowance off of that, if they order one thing that's $1,000 cost to us, then that takes up almost all my buyback for a quarter. So it's like, but I wasn't allowed to make customers put deposits down on the things that we ordered for them. I wasn't allowed to restrict the other teammates from ordering these things on a rush shipment for any reason because, we got to keep the customer happy and we got to keep our survey scores up. And, it's terrible.
Yeah, well, they keep the customer happy thing has gone a little far too. Don't get me wrong. When you specifically read articles or see people go, yeah, I saved a receipt for 12 years and then I went in and returned this couch to Walmart. It's like, what? Yeah, it finally tore after 12 years and I went and returned it. You what? Yeah, they gave me all my money back. You what? You returned something you owned for 12 years with the receipt and they gave you all of your money back?
Yeah, you should have gotten your money back. You used something for 12 years. That was a good value, right?
you get these people to go, yeah, just keep your receipt. You'll always get your money back. Why spend more than it's worth? It's like, gee, and you wonder why things cost so much these days.
And why the quality is so shit.
Oh, it's amazing. I shop around with anything. I don't care if sometimes I get the cheaper item, sometimes I'll get the more expensive item. It all depends on where I'm trying to get it from and what its purpose is, I guess. Don't buy expensive kids' toys. Anybody listening, never buy a kid's toy that's expensive, especially when they're under 10. Wait till things go clearance after Christmas and set it aside for the next Christmas at like 10% of the original price. You will have the best Christmases.
Oh yeah, my mom was a queen of doing that stuff when we were growing up because she was a third shift stocker in a department store, and whenever Christmas time would come around, the second Christmas was over, she would wait for stuff to go on clearance or go on deal, and she'd be buying stuff all year long, and she'd have everything already bought, by like August or September. So then everybody's scrambling around like mad looking for, deals and stuff. And this was before Black Friday used to get people killed. And
yeah,
but we have, my parents were not rich at all growing up, but I wouldn't have known because we always had just a ton of shit at Christmas time because my mom was just really good at putting the Christmas together. Because being a third shift stalker, she would be the one sitting there marking crap down, like that's for me and that's for me.
Oh yeah, I know. I would send somebody off. I'd give them the list. This was one of the best things about being manager or supervisor, depending on where you were and what was being done. I'd give them the list of things to mark down, and I'd look it over real quick and go, yeah, I know we have a few of those. They'd come back to me and tell me the list was done. I'd walk out with a cart, put like 7 or 8 things in the cart, wait till my lunch, cash them all out, throw them in my trunk. What'd you do that for? Well, they're for Christmas, but it's February, so I think I got like almost $1,000 worth of merchandise for one Christmas, but I'd only spent like $70 through the year.
Yeah.
Because I was buying $10 items for 25 and 50 cents. I was buying like $20 gifts for like $2 and $3. Cool. It's $2 from 20. So-and-so like this. Put a little Post-it note on it, stick it in a bag in the closet. At the end of the year, you go, okay, what do we not have for Christmas? Well, we could use a couple of cheap toys for the kids. Cool. Let's go get them.
Yeah, and now people don't think that way, and they wait till the last minute to start buying stuff, and a lot of people don't think until Black Friday, and now Black Friday is just a shit show. I make a point to not go anywhere on Black Friday. I absolutely hate it. I hate what it's become. I don't enjoy it. It's like, to me, it's just it's the visual representation of the disease that has become commercialism in America.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like when you literally got workers being trampled to death because people are busting underneath the gates and running all over people and not giving a shit. I watch the videos every year on YouTube and watch, in horror, watching people just maim each other, mace each other, getting fist fights over toys and junk, that people are probably buying on credit that they can't afford anyway in the first place.
All right. Did you own an original or not an original? Did you own the original Xbox or the PlayStation 2 or the what was the other one that came out at the same time? There was the PlayStation 2, the Xbox, and something else came out that year. I want to say
system since the N64. I've actually not even since the N64. I pretty much have never gotten any game system right when it comes out, and ever since Xbox and PlayStation 2 era, I've gotten my brother's leftover after he upgrades to the better console whenever they come out with that. That's how
those systems right there, from my perspective, those right there were the end of decent Black Fridays. Once those systems came out, Black Fridays from there on became a competition as to how new, how low can you go with this $500, $300 item? How few can you have? Can you hand out tickets, or do you form a line? Do you give them on the way through the door, or do you let them run and tramp? Since those systems, like the Xbox and the PS2, that was the era where Black Friday and all of this line up for things and grab this frenzy just went out of control.
What was that, like about 12 years ago? That would be about right.
I want to say, yeah, that was in the early 2000s, 05 maybe.
Yeah.
Somewhere around 05, 03 to 05. Right.
I agree with you.
Because I want to say I was working and I went to go buy a PS2 and I showed up at the place at 5 in the morning, a half an hour before they were supposed to open. There was 150 people lined up, and there was a sign that said, "We have 25 systems." I got back in my car and I left and never went after another item on first release.
Oh, I don't do anything on first release pretty much ever anymore. I might go see a movie if it's something I really want to see, but I don't go for the buying stuff. Like I'm not a gamer, although I play games. But I'm more of a sports game guy, so I'll buy like MLB The Show and I just play the hell out of it over and over again because I'm a nerd and I like to, be the general manager and make the trades and all that stuff. But like I've seen even in the middle of the year when they have some big game release and you drive past like a GameStop and there's like 300 people camping outside and like, what is this all about? Oh, this game comes out in 2 days. In 2 days, and you guys are already sitting out here? What the hell? It's like,
with a barbecue and a tent and a
yeah,
sleeping
it's like,
bag.
I'm
It's like,
sorry, but maybe this is just me being mean, but like, get a fucking life. Seriously, if you care about a physical item that much that you're camping out for like literally 2 days, uh, for it, it's like that just says more about you than me.
that's why, was it last year, the year before, Black Friday now starts on Thursday at like 6?
Was it? Oh yeah, they start.
Yeah,
Yeah, they start now on yeah
at
on
like 5 or 6 o'clock, right after you eat dinner. Come on over. It's like, are you serious?
some of
It
the
used to
damn
be
stores are staying open
closed.
all day now. It's like, and my wife has, we call it the retail curse, but my wife is inflicted with the retail curse and has been for 21 years. And it's like, she would like to spend some time with the family, but now you're even taking away your employees' holidays. And to me, there's just some times when things, non-essential services just shouldn't be operating.
Right.
It's like I'm not a religious guy, but Christmas Day, Thanksgiving, things like that. Those are important days for families.
Those are
And
the
that's
days where you get in your car looking for a AA or AAA package of batteries and realize only one out of every 5 gas stations and every third pharmacy is open, and you're paying 3 times as much as you normally would for anything you want, but suffer because it's a holiday.
exactly, exactly. I don't
I
know. Just
remember doing that too. It's like, crap, I need 4 more AA batteries. Where am I going to go? There's only 2 places open. I could pay $9 for 4 batteries or $8 for 4 batteries.
yeah, it just. But now, with these companies though, they're so damn bottom line focused that they don't. Basically, it's just terrible in the corporate world these days that employees are just treated as expendable numbers, and if you're not willing to capitulate to what they want to do to keep the customers happy, and that's what I was alluding to before. It's like, unfortunately, especially in retail environments, everything's become overly customer focused. It's like, I believe that the customer's usually right, but the customer's also wrong sometimes too. And if you're just always going to bend
Yeah.
over backwards, then you're making it harder on yourself to operate as a business, and you're also making it miserable for your employees, because now employees can't say boo to any customer without it becoming a big deal. Even when the employee's right, they get told that they're wrong. And I tell my wife this sometimes too. It's like, you got to pick your battles. Don't make a big deal over little stuff. That I would agree with. But when somebody's clearly trying to scam you or something, like I don't like that places take stuff back without receipts. Now, I did just use that the other day at Target because there was a wallet I bought that didn't work out, and I threw my receipt away. So I kind of sheepishly went up there, but they were able to track the sale though off of my credit card. They're like, "Oh, do you have the credit card
Right.
you use?" "Oh, okay, yeah, we see that you bought that." So that worked out for me. But it's like, just to take stuff back at random, you don't even know if that person even bought that at your store, or what price they paid for it, or if they even paid for it at all. And then you're just giving money back to people without any proof that they bought it.
I know. I've seen horrible crap, and then you wonder why sometimes when you go in to legitimately do things, and you're like, well, damn, I lost my receipt and I don't know what to do, and they're like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. It's like, but okay, you know what? Okay, I'm not gonna get all frustrated just because I saw the last guy get $30 for nothing.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a comment on the chat. Rechargeable batteries.
Here, you talk
You
about that.
get
I'm going to
what
use
you
the
get.
restroom.
You get what you get when you go out on a holiday. And rechargeable batteries are quite expensive at drugstores. Also, where did I see that? Somebody had a GameCube. I saw that. Stargazer. I still have a GameCube. I have 2 of them. The GameCube, the PS2. I'm missing my PS2. It was stolen a few years ago. I don't really have very many carry-on games, but I do pride myself in the fact I own an Atari 2600 in working order, a Nintendo, a Super Nintendo, an NES, a Dreamcast, a 64, 2 cubes. I have an original Xbox. I think I have 2 original Xboxes. Neither one works anymore. I have Sega Genesis 16-bit. I have 2 32 bits, one with a CD drop pad and the 32X adapter. What else do I have? I've got like 17 video game systems on a shelf. that aren't plugged in right now, and hundreds of games to go with them. But yeah, I love video games. I just don't play as much of the new ones because of the way video games have seemed to go in the last few years.
I just suck at video games, even the ones that are easy.
Yeah, you remember Pac-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have Pac-Man and Ms. Pac-Man. I was just saying I have an Atari 2600 in working order.
Nice.
Yeah, I have Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man. I have the original Asteroids, Tron, Donkey Kong Jr. I have like 60 or 70 games for the Atari.
We got a 2600, but it's not in working order. We got a bunch of games for it, but we haven't played it in I don't know how long.
Believe it or not, if you open it up, if it's the stock 2600 with the plastic case, whether it's the wood grain plastic or the stock black plastic, if you pop it open carefully and go through, I want to say it's just one main board. And most of the time, all you literally have to do is go through with a Q-tip or a cotton ball and lightly clean the board from one end to the other and look for scratches.
Well, I'll be damned. I'll have to chip out.
Yeah, I've had to go through the Atari twice because it's so old and it's only one board. If it gets too much dust on it, it won't always fire right, and you'll be sitting here hitting the reset button over and over again, and that cartridge just won't load. Clean your cartridges out with a little bit of light alcohol, and then clean your cartridge slot out. And if it still doesn't work, pop it open, just clean the board up real quick, clean up the inside of it, put it all back together, because there's no fan or ventilation in the old system. So the dust that gets in there just sits and sticks to the warm components on the inside and just layers over.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've seen that with our, we got one of the original NESs, and it got to the point where it was the flashing blue screen of death constantly. So I dissected that thing one day and put it back together, and I was like, wow, this works better than when it was brand new.
I completely work. I have Duck Hunt and one still working gun.
Oh, our gun doesn't work anymore. It sucks.
I have one gun that still works. I have one gun that doesn't. I used to have, they had a huge trackball for the 2600. It was a pad. It was like 7 inches long by 5 inches wide. It was about 3 inches deep with a big yellow ball.
Yeah, you could play like Centipede with it.
Yeah, that thing broke so long ago, but I kept the yellow ball. So somewhere in my like games and golf balls and whatnot, there's this big yellow ball. Everybody goes, "What is that? A pool ball?" I go, "No, that's from an Atari."
I wish the NES that we had was my wife's family, so it has the orange gun and it doesn't work. But me and my brother's Nintendo had broken down, God, when we were in our teens, and we had one of the gray guns still.
Yeah, I've got the gray one. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's weird playing Duck Hunt too. Every so often you got to pull it out and you play it on a new TV and it looks so grainy, but it's like, this is just fun anyway.
I like the skeet shooting in that actually better than the duck hunting part.
I've only got like 3 games left for that Nintendo. What is it? The Super Nintendo was the one that slid in and down. The Nintendo went in straight on the top. The Super Nintendo was slid in and down. It was a Super Nintendo. My son tried to put a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and that was when we started putting all the video games away.
Yeah, we've got the Nintendo, we got the Super Nintendo, and we got an N64. And then once they started coming out with GameCube and stuff, then we stopped caring about collecting systems anymore.
The 64, I have to say, was probably like one of their better systems, because you could hold the controller in like 3 different ways depending on what you were playing or what you were doing. You could hold it with one hand and just race around on Mario. You could grab it with 2 hands and skid corners, or it was maneuverable. But that was when wrestling was cool, is when the 64 came out, because then you could get like 4 people tag team wrestling across the system, and that's when shit just started getting multiplayer, and it was cool.
Yeah, that to me was the last like really cool system that Nintendo had. I know some people are GameCube fans, but I didn't care for it that much.
The Cube was all right. The original Wii was kind of cool, but it was so limited. And I think since the 64, it's just been so hard to find. The 64 had so much diversity to their gaming. It went Mario, it went wrestling. They had this and that and brought new things in. And now it just seems like they're doing the same things with just different names, and it doesn't feel like they're putting any effort in.
Yeah, I'm wondering when Nintendo's going to eventually go like Sega did and just stop making consoles and just license out their characters to Microsoft or Sony and just be a software company.
Yeah, Do you know, this is a weird one since you say Sega. I do have a whole bunch of Segas too.
I got a Genesis. It's a bunch of games still. I got the old
16 or 32?
The 32.
The 32. I have one of the 16s with the little switches that you can adjust for the game settings.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I also have two of the 32s. One of them has the drop pad that you can buy the Sega CD and the base console. So you buy this bottom pad, the 32-bit Sega goes on the left, the Sega CD goes on the right. You have to take the bottoms off of both of the systems. They clip in and match up, and then there's a 32X drop pad that goes into the 32-speed Sega. It allows you to play extended games. I have everything for the Genesis. All the controllers and everything. I only got like 9 games left, though. Yeah, I used to love collecting old systems. I'd go to junk heaps, and there was a huge garage sale out in Sacramento I went to once, and I bought like 6 systems I didn't have there, and I've been buying games at little spots here and there where you can find them, but it's hard to find the old stuff.
Yeah, now that everybody's gone nostalgic on everything, now everybody charges a whorehouse price for the stuff, and you used to be able to, pick up a system and all the games for like $20 at a garage sale.
Yeah. And controllers. Now you can't even buy a controller for $20.
Yeah, and Nintendo just did that re-release of the Nintendo or whatever that's got all the games built into it, but they want like $100 for it. Like, no way. You can buy a Raspberry Pi for cheaper than that, and even cheaper than that, you can just get an emulator on your computer. That's where I play most of my Nintendo games nowadays. I don't even pull the old system out of the closet. I just play it on my PC.
I'm tempted. I just got a garage this year. I'm thinking next summer I'll take, because my kids aren't here. We're planning on, I just bought this house this summer after I lost my mom, so we're planning on getting them each their own small, cheap TV for their room. And my son currently has my grandmother's TV. She passed away a few years back, and it's cool, but it's a big old tube television. It's the only tube television left in my house, so I'm going to run that out to my garage and hook it up to the old systems on my mom's old entertainment center, which has a bunch of shelves, so I can just chill in the garage all day in the summer and play video games.
That's the thing about putting the old games on new TVs is they just look funny.
Yeah, I've already had people go, if you hook those up, you call me because I want to come over and play Donkey Kong, or I want to play Pac-Man with you. It's like, really?
Yeah, I wish I still had it, but I had that 6-button joystick for the original Nintendo. That was awesome too, because that was the best for playing Pac-Man.
I don't have the Nintendo joystick. I do have one black Atari joystick.
Yeah. I don't get 2 of those still.
And the Sega Genesis 16 and 32-bit controllers, I want to say it was 9-pin controller, maybe it was 11. Those controllers are identical to the Atari 2600 controller. So if your Atari controller went, you could use a Sega controller.
Oh, really?
Yes, and if you really wanted to, you could take your Atari controllers and plug them in on the Sega, but they didn't always respond like you'd think, depending on what game you were playing.
That's interesting.
Because they weren't meant to be cross-platform, but they used the same connector, so it was always weird.
Huh. The things you learn.
My 360 just took a shit. The hard drive on it finally crapped out, so it keeps telling me I need to update. So I just disconnected it from my TV here in the bedroom, and then I tried to connect my computer, and the TV started telling me, no, I want to fail again.
Yeah, my 360 had died a couple of years ago, but my daughter had bought an Xbox Live subscription on her own because since she's an only child, she was going on and playing Minecraft with friends and stuff. And her and I together built this massive world, but then the machine died, and then I realized they changed the way the hard drives connect. So I still got the old hard drive, but I need to get a different type of transfer cable to be able to transfer the stuff off. And you can pull the hard drive out, but then it won't, because it slides in a different way into the newer 360s than the older style ones. So they intentionally made them where they weren't compatible. And there's ways you can work around it, but just because of the way the one took a dump, though, I'm just kind of scared to plug it in and pull this off of there. But we got this gigantic Minecraft world that her and I spent thousands of hours on that I would really like to get back.
Oh, man, I love if I get stuck in a Minecraft thing, I'll be going for weeks until I build something just immensely cool and go, okay, that was fun. I'm going to go do something else.
To me, like when it came out, it changed my life. I was like, man, this is like Legos in a virtual world, and it was just amazing. So we played a lot. It was a good little bonding tool for us.
Yeah, it's awesome. My kids and I sit and play Minecraft when they get days off of school and my wife's at work. We'll sit for like 5-6 hours straight and play nothing but Minecraft. And I'm actually trying to, build up my resources and get ready to go fight the dragon. Or actually, what we were doing a couple weeks ago. I just finally collected the third wither skull, so we're gonna go down and I'm gonna create an obsidian room underneath and spawn the wither and beat the crap out of him with the kids. And my kids are like, but he's gonna kill us. Well, that's the point. Let's get some armor and we'll go down there. But and then they got in trouble for Halloween, so we're waiting to get back to it. But we're about to go do the wither. We're gonna spawn the wither when we get back on.
Did your kids get into watching Stampy on YouTube?
My kids, and I hope people don't think me wrong, but my kids are not permitted to use internet or any connectivity without permission. They have Netflix and they have cable. They are not allowed on YouTube or internet.
No, I got I watch what my daughter does, but she likes watching Let's Plays, so I usually check out who it is that she's watching. But the guy Stampy Longnose, he actually he was a dude that started out being just like a regular Let's Play type person, and in his first, like, I don't know, half dozen videos he swore, but then he realized that kids like watching him because he had this kind of cartoony voice, and he cleaned up his act and made a big thing out of it, to the point that there was a time a few years ago that my daughter actually went as Stampy Longnose for her for Halloween because she got so into him. And all these kids would be like commenting on his videos and stuff. It's like, oh, I love you, Stamps, and it was cute. And he got interviewed on like Good Morning America and all this stuff. He was a really cool dude. It was like actually nice to see somebody that took the responsibility of realizing that he was having influence over young kids and didn't just say, screw it, it's not my job to watch them. But he was like, no, I can actually make something out of this.
Well, I know some people will let their kids sit and play, and I was watching something. I watch a lot of creators. I do. I try to keep up with as many as I can, even if they're not on my list. And I have hundreds on my list that I watch. Somebody did a video saying how they were misrepresented. I want to say it was Gary Orsom did a video replying to replies that were given to him in a video, saying on kids shouldn't be allowed to watch the internet. And I have to say I agree with that. Kids should not be allowed to sit there and watch the internet, and if they are, you should be sitting there with them.
They certainly shouldn't be doing it unfettered. That I would completely agree with. But
right, when my son has a device, he's either allowed to use it in the car or in the living room around me. He's not allowed to take anything connected to the internet to his room or anywhere where I can't monitor what he's doing.
Oh, exactly. My daughter she has her quote unquote own laptop, only because we've upgraded to a better laptop, but it's on our kitchen table in our living room, and the screen's where I can see it. So, there's not anything going on that I'm not aware of at any rate. And we do
and that's
browser checks and stuff, and there's like net nanny things on there too. But that's being
it was confirmed. It was Gary Orsom that I was watching.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. The same video.
Yeah, that's being a parent. That's hey, I know personally, being a creator on the internet and watching other people's stuff, what is out there and what you might accidentally see. So why don't I just make sure that we wait till you're an appropriate age to accidentally see, where I can actually explain what you're seeing, depending on what that is.
Yeah. So yeah, like I didn't
if you run across
them, but my thing was the person's attitude was like, well, you're not going to stop a 5-year-old from stumbling upon something. It's like, yes, you can, and yes, you will. It's like, if you're being a responsible parent, you can avoid these things from happening. I'm not saying I don't agree that you have to keep them completely off. There's tools at your disposal that you can use to help monitor who your child's watching on the internet and who she's he or her interacting with. And if your attitude is just like, well, they're going to figure this out sooner or later, then you're not doing your kid any favors, and you're certainly helping the hell out of pedophiles.
Oh yeah. I will say kids will find ways to get into things, but they don't always understand what it is they're getting into either. Like exactly. My son used to watch me sit and program shows on my DVR when he was like 1.5 years old. And then we were sitting there watching a show, and we passed out on the couch together, and when I woke up, he had bought a porno.
Oh, shit.
He grabbed the remote control and started going through and picking out shows, and he picked out like a $7.99, something documentary into how to make a porno, and I woke up to naked women dancing on my screen, and I was just, oh my God, what did you do? And then I got the bill, and I was like, hey, hun, guess what? Our son ordered a porn. And, you know, it was a good laugh. It was a mistake. It doesn't usually happen. Well, it's something. You know, he didn't understand what he was doing because he just realized that, hey, I got the remote. This is what you do. You push buttons. Hey, I'm a 7-year-old on the internet. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to click on the next website. You know, that's how it is. They don't know what exactly they're doing. And yes, they will learn, but they'll learn by making mistakes first.
Yeah, that's why I didn't agree with that person arguing with Gary about it. That you know, like, well, there's nothing you can do. Is like, well, there certainly is, and that's why we have internet filters on my daughter's computer. So you know, if these websites are on whatever naughty list that this internet filter has, that, I mean, it's not foolproof, but it certainly keeps a good amount of the shit out of her reach, which is a good thing. And you can't just sit there and just throw your hands up in the air and go like, kids are gonna be kids. No, that's bullshit. You have to be a parent. You actually have to be involved with your kid. You got to watch what they're doing. And if you're going to let them on the internet and you're just letting them have free range on the internet and you're not checking on what they're doing, well, then you're not doing your job.
Anybody who's had a small child or been at home with a small child knows that sometimes when they get tired, you'll curl up with them, and it's almost impossible to not fall asleep with a small child when you're trying to get them to calm down. Okay. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, when you're not paying attention, or if they wake up before you and they get their hands on something, let's say a permanent marker or a computer or something, you weren't watching. What did they get into? Okay, when they get older and they're a little smarter, still don't quite realize what they're doing, and you're not watching, what are they going to get into?
Oh, exactly. I mean, I know the kind of things I was getting into when I was like 13.
Yeah,
maybe
by
like
accident.
12, 13. My daughter's almost at that age, and I think about that sometimes, like, oh shit, she's going to start getting older in a hurry here. And that was back before, you know, before the internet was really a thing.
Yeah. Back when, you know, you had to be smart. Okay, this is what I want. How do I have to go about getting it? And I have to avoid this, and this, because my mom knows this person, my dad knows that person, so-and-so knows this person. I can't go here. I can't do that. You know, you had to be resourceful. These days, it's, oh, yeah, I'm watching TV. Take your tablet and go do whatever you want. Really?
Yeah.
I couldn't do that with my kids.
You can't autopilot your kids.
I can't even let them, like, I let them sit and watch TV last night. I think I let them turn it on at 6 o'clock. By 7:30, I was already mad they watched TV for too long. And this is coming from somebody who sits on a computer most of the day. So, you know, I don't want my kids to that point where they think that the TV or the computer or something is all they got, because my son in his room has train tracks and car tracks and, you know, who knows what else he still has up there. His marbles and Legos and boxes and boxes and boxes of toys up there. I let him go nuts. Again, stuff I bought Christmas after Christmas on clearance. Why not? So he's got tons of stuff to do. I'm not going to let him sit and watch TV all day, even if I got it.
I mean, I kind of let my daughter probably overindulge in watching things, but she's also an only child. She's really never been much about toys because she's always kind of been about tech. But like what she spends 90% of her time watching is drawing tutorials, basically YouTube drawing tutorials. So she's already gonna, like I said, she can be 11 tomorrow. She already is a better artist than me, and I can draw fairly decently. I mean, I'm not like an artist, I wouldn't say, but it's just amazing what she has taken the time to learn on her own. But, you know, again, I'm also engaged and I know what she's doing. And, you know, you come over there, what are you watching? Who is this? You know, you actually gotta do your homework. You can't just sit there and be like, okay, here's a tablet, go nuts. Or, you know, here's a computer, go nuts. It's like, if you're doing that, then you're not being responsible. It's like, I think there's responsible ways you can let your kid use the internet. And, you know, in this day and age, it's kind of impossible to, I think, to let them go very late into their lives without spending a good amount of time on technology, because that's just the world we live in. But at the same time, you know, you can't just be, like I said, you can't be a parent on autopilot. You have to be aware of what your kid's doing, and it's not just enough to check in now and again. You actually got to look at browser histories. You got to actually set up your Wi-Fi router to like Lone Wolf said, you can set up your router to stop access to porn sites. There's all kinds of tools at parents' disposal that they're too lazy to use.
Right. And don't get me, I just try to keep things balanced. Yeah, you're going to get technology. I'm even going to show you how to use it. I'm going to show you where it is. I sat it down on my computer. Mind you, I'm still learning how to do, if anybody's watched my videos or anything I've done, I'm still learning how to do this. I just started in April. Like end of March, early April, I started learning how to do some of this, and I've just been, slowly progressing. I sit my son down with me and go, how do you think this looks? Does that look cool? What should I do? How would it look better? Help me with this. I don't know what I'm doing. Neither do I. So come help me. Here, sit down. I'll show you what I'm doing. You show me what you think would look cool. And that's, I want him to learn how to use it. The school does the same thing. Here's your computer class. Learn how to type. My son had a computer last year until it finally conked out on me. It was an old IBM, and the only thing it would do was go to Google. You could go to Google, you could type in, a word. It would give you a definition or a quick summary, but it wouldn't let you pass that site because it was so outdated. So no pictures would load, no ads would load. He literally had like the perfect computer for a 10-year-old boy. You type in the word whatnot and hit enter, and it gives you a definition, and that was all it would literally do. So I was like, here, kid, you can sit at this computer anytime you want, type in any word you want, and it'll tell you what you want to know about that word. And it'll give you your typing skills. It'll give you a little bit of computer usage. Here, this is yours until it dies. Go ahead.
Such a good typer.
And that's what he did. Hours on end, he just sat there typing in words, questioning what they were. Cool. That's what I want you to do. Here's your direction. Here's your ability. Go for it. But he couldn't do anything more than what I gave him the ability to do,
Also,
so I wasn't worried.
Also, a lot of parents don't take time to actually talk to their kids. There was a study that before my daughter was born that I really took to heart, and it was something like once your kid reaches like 7 or 8 years of age, that most parents on a daily basis don't spend more than 15 minutes looking into their child's eyes. So I've always taken that to heart, and I make sure that I take time with my daughter every day. So like when she comes home from school, if I'm not working, like we have conversations after she's done with homework. We talk about something. I don't even care what it is. It can be just about something she did at school or something that's on my mind, but we actually have conversations. And I don't think enough parents do that. And also a lot of parents talk down to their kids, which is not something I agree with. They use the baby talk or well, you got to do this and you got to do that. And it's like, doesn't help your kid develop cognitively if you talk to them like they're idiots. Just talk to them like they're people, and they will learn this stuff out on their own.
I grew up without my dad, so I honestly have half an idea of what a dad should do. So with half an idea of what I would have wanted, my son has had a toolbox for 8 years now.
Nice.
And every so often when I get new tools or you have to buy a set, which comes with stuff that I have a few of, I'll hand him new screwdrivers. He's got a little electric screwdriver. He's got several screwdrivers, regular screwdrivers. He's got wrenches galore, all different sizes, pliers, flashlights, Allen tools. I mean, whatever I can hand him down, he's got. Okay, I got this, you can have that. I got this, you can have that. My toolbox is full. Take some of these. Now, my daughter's getting one. She's got one in the garage. She doesn't have much in it yet. She's got a couple screwdrivers and a pair of pliers and a measuring tape. She's 5. He had his first because he was an only kid at the time. But I sent him outside. I'd acquired my cousin's bikes, who also passed away early this year. He had 2 12 and 15 speed mountain bikes, both of them in need of repair. My son had his bike and a couple of spare parts, nothing in working order. So I set my son out in the driveway with his toolbox, my tools if he needed them, spot to work, and all the bike parts he could ever think of. Helped him tear down and rebuild the bike to the way he wanted it, out of what parts he wanted to use. I ended up having to go buy him a chain remover tool, which I apparently didn't have for some reason. And we put a new chain on the bike, and that's what he rides around on. He's got 3 bicycles he built over the summer.
Nice.
And I didn't sit and build them with him. I would put him out in front of the garage. I'd work on something, hand him all his tools. Here, work on this. Do the best you can. Let me know if you need help. Okay, Dad, how do I get this bolt out? Well, here, you got the wrong tool. Use this one. Okay. And here, hands-on, learn how to do this. Teach you something. Anytime I can, I try to find that right task for their age. Sometimes that's hard. Like, here's how you use a saw. Because I bought a brand new circular saw to do renovations. Here's how you use a saw. Don't put your hands near it. Make sure you stay off to the side. Make sure you do this. I don't know what to teach my kid other than here's what not to do. Don't cut your hand off. You know, just here's some hands-on learning. Don't hurt yourself. This is how you hurt yourself. Don't do that. Other than that, try it. You know,
And
that's how I like to learn. That's how I learned most of the shit growing up because I didn't have a dad. So now that dad's here watching you, okay, here's what you don't do. Now that we've established what not to do, you go figure out what to do.
Yeah. Well, you got to let kids make mistakes, and you got to let them figure things out on their own. I think that's unfortunately with the helicopter parenting that dominates parenting these days. Is, you know, everybody's afraid of the kid making a mistake, making a mess, you know, hurting themselves. It's like, hey, life's full of bumps and bruises and mistakes, and that's how you learn. So if you don't, you know, if you don't allow them the opportunity to mess up, then they can't get better. And my wife's parents kind of didn't do that with her. Her mom wouldn't let her help with chores around the house because, like, well, you're just not going to do it right, and I'm gonna have to do it again anyway. It's like, well, then how's she supposed to learn how to do the things the right way, or at all, if she's not given an opportunity to, you know, to fail at something and see what needs to go better the next time.
Oh, exactly. I think my wife was raised in a slightly sheltered way like that too, and I try not to do that to my kids, but they get from both sides, you know, whether they intend to or not. They get that, well, I don't know how, so I shouldn't do it. And it's like, okay, you don't know how, so you should do it. No, I shouldn't. Yes, you should. Let's go. Oh, you know, so it's, I have to fight with that sometimes, but you know, all kids are a little different.
Or it's like, you know, like have her wash the dishes, and if I notice something's still dirty, I'd say, hey, it's like this one's still dirty. Maybe you should rewash it. Did you look at the dish before you put it in there? Make sure you look them over real good before you stick them in the dish drainer. You know, it's like that's how they learn. It's like you can't expect them to wait until they're near adulthood and then tell them to do things and expect them to do it to perfection any more than you can expect them to do things to perfection when they're young.
I purposely give my son jobs that I know he's going to be a little bit off on sometimes, just to go, hey, look, you know what? You did as good a job as I would have done. Nice.
Exactly.
You know, sometimes, yes, you want to teach them how to do things the right way and stuff, but sometimes, without them knowing, you want to hand them something that there's no way they can screw up on, and the only thing you can do is go, wow, you did a really nice job, because there's no way you couldn't have. But good job. You know, I got to praise you, so let's make sure you did it right, and then good job. Because you got to give, you feel like, even if they're not, you feel like you got to give them that praise for something, and I want to make it for something they actually did right. So here's something easy. You can't screw up, do it, and then you'll obviously get something out of it. Every once in a while.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like I said, I just think it's a symptom of the helicopter parenting. It's like, you know, parents feel like they're not doing a good job, it seems, these days, or at least some of them anyway, unless they're, you know, making sure that everything goes perfectly for the kid every day. And while I understand the desire to want to parent, at the same time, it's like, you know, instead of making their sandwich, you know, their lunch for them all the way through middle school into high school, it's like, why don't you at some point, like my daughter is in 5th grade now, it's like my wife, you know, helps my daughter get her lunch ready for in the morning. It's not I'm making this for you. It's like, hey, what do you want to take? Why don't you put that in a bag? Why don't you get that in the lunchbox? You know,
that's summertime lunches around my house. Of course, yeah. I had 4 kids here most of the summer. It's all right. What does everybody want? Everybody come in here, grab this, grab that, make your sandwich, and get outside.
Yeah, definitely get outside.
I mean, you gotta. Oh, my kids. And anybody who sort of follows me or has seen any of my work knows I only put like 3 or 4 videos out the whole summer because I had a lot going on and I tried to make the best of the situation that was dealt to me. So I spent my whole summer outside working on renovating the backyard to this house I just bought, which used to be my grandmother's house. I fixed all the water problems and everything, and I had my kids out there working the whole time. I had tractor out there for a bit. They were stacking stone. They were moving rock. They were shoveling and digging and planting and uprooting and moving trees. My son felt so good when he took down a couple of trees all by himself. No, Dad, I got it. Okay, I'll let you go. I'll stay here and smoke a cigarette. Go ahead. Oh, Dad, I got it. What can I cut this root with? I got it. No, just give it to me. I'll get it myself. That feels good when your kid's out there going, nope, I'm doing this.
Yeah,
I'm going to get it myself. Awesome. I'm doing something right.
And the thing is, if you don't let them do that from an early age, then by the time they get to an age where you actually want their help, that's when they're going to be bucking you, and they're going to be like, it's going to seem more like a chore rather than something they're helping with. It's like if you keep them engaged in your household and make them feel like they're part of a house. Like I was always raised in the kind of household that was like, well, you live here and you need to help out, so there's no please and thank yous, and you're just expected to do things, and you're expected to do them perfectly. And with my daughter, I've taken a completely different approach. It's like, no, you live in the house and you should help out. But it's like, I try to make the helping out like a fun thing. It's like, hey, it's like, why don't you take a break from the computer? We're going to put on some music. We're going to, clean up the living room here, pick up the stuff, and we're going to dust and vacuum. It's like, what do you want to listen to? And then we'll throw some music on and, take care of some chores or something.
Right. And you also recently, for a while now, apparently being an at-home parent here and there, you kind of feel that, I don't know, I do. I'll stop putting this off to you, but I feel that I'm home alone all day. So in the morning, I'll notice something on the carpet. I'll run through and vacuum. I'll wipe down the table. It's like, no. Nobody's going to take care of that. My wife gets home from work. She can take a shower, relax, sit back. I got dinner on its way. When my kids get home from school, it's nope, don't worry about chores. Get your homework done. Sit back, relax. Is responsible for taking out the cardboard and plastic recycling kind of thing.
Yeah.
And my son is responsible for the cans, rinsing out cans and bottles and taking them out, and occasionally the trash if I don't do it. So they really don't have chores because I'm home all day. Why should I make them do things? They're at school all day and whatnot. So they just get to come home and take it easy. But they got little things. It's like, well, pay attention, Connor. The cans are overfilling. Are you going to take care of them for me? Do I have to? I just did it 4 days ago. Well, you could have done it yesterday. You would have only had 4 or 5.
Yeah.
It's
same thing with my daughter. It's like we have the trash, and we have a smaller recycling can inside the house, and that gets emptied into the larger trash and recycle up just outside the back door. And for the last couple of years, I pay her $10 a month allowance, and her job is to empty the trash and recycle in the house to the cans outside, and then once a week to take the cans out to the curb. And that's really about the only like quote unquote chores I make her do, aside from keeping her personal areas clean. But it's just like, when there's bigger things to be done, then it's just like, okay, well, you're not going to sit here while I'm working. It's like, we're all here today. We're all going to work on this. And I set an example too. It's like, I was telling my daughter's teacher last night at parent teacher conferences. It's like, I've always teased her for years that one day her head's going to spin around. She's going to turn evil. And then when she starts being nice again, then a boy's going to steal her away. But I always tell her though, cause I'll be sitting there doing dishes, and I'll make comments like, hey, you don't ever don't ever marry somebody that doesn't help with the chores around the house. There's nothing that says that this is all of some one person or the other stuff to do. It's like the chores aren't always going to be equal, but your mom's been working a lot this week. I happen to be home right now. The dishes are full in the sink. Like, why wouldn't I take care of this? Like, why would I go sit on my ass so that way your mom has to come home and worry about that? So, that's why I laugh at the feminists sometimes. They're like, well, we're taught that. Who's taught what? I wasn't taught that. My mom bitched incessantly because my dad didn't help out with chores around the house, and I had to sit there here piss and moan about it all the time. So when I got married, I was like, well, hey, I don't want my wife to feel that way. So I took it upon myself to do my fair share.
What it was is we were taught that things need to get done regardless of who does them.
Yes.
That people need to cooperate and get things done and make it work. Instead of, hey, the woman does this, the man does no. My mom was an only parent. She did all of that stuff. And when I was old enough and knew how, I tried to do some of it for her to help, because, you get instilled from your parents the obligation to help somebody because they need it. Maybe it's just me. My mom was always, look, they need help. We can help them. You help them.
Yeah, that's how you actually help people when they're in need. My daughter just got, and 2 of her friends just got, for their school, they give them tickets, not for doing bad things, but when they get cited for doing good things. And the day after Halloween, I went to drop my daughter off at school, and we're walking up, and she comes walking up behind her friends, and she sees them picking up trash, and she's like, I'm gonna go help. I'm like, okay. Well, there's people that there's a street in our neighborhood that's well known for trick or treating, and people come from outside the area to trick or treat there, and sometimes those people just throw candy wrappers and trash on the ground. So along the street, there's a lot of candy trash. and her friends picked up all this candy trash, and one of the teachers saw them doing it and gave each girl a ticket for being responsible and keeping the community clean. And nobody had to tell them to do this; they just saw it. They recognized something needed to be done about it, and they did it.
My kids, I don't know if it's probably me because I'm one of those, because I am the way I am, I don't like things left to sit too long. So when my kids and I walk through a store, if I don't notice something, my daughter will see something fall off a shelf. She has to stop, pull back, pick it up, put it on the shelf where it belongs before she can move on. If it's not where it's supposed to, like it's on the floor. No, I can't leave it on the floor. It's got to be on the shelf. No, it's not your problem. There's somebody right there working, but I have to do it. Feels that need to do it because this should be done, and that it can be bad when they're young, but it's a good thing to instill in them, I think. The feeling that things need to be done regardless of who's going to do it or how or why. It's just, hey, it should be done. So things should be picked up, things shouldn't be left behind.
And it just makes it easier for everybody around you, and if everybody just does their part, because then nobody has to feel like they're the one that all their chores are being left to. And like I said,
and you know what?
Watching my mom do it.
I have a comfortable house for it. I bet you have a nice, comfortable house for it. Your wife is working, you're home. So your wife probably comes home to a nice, relaxed evening or whatever. Your daughter comes home from school, nice, relaxed evening. My wife and kids come home, nice, relaxed evening. They can sit and relax. They can watch television. We can sit and talk during dinner. There's little to no stress because we all do our part.
Exactly. That's I think there was a Malcolm in the Middle episode that went like this, but it's when everybody starts focusing on who's doing how much of what chores is when things start going awry. And Otto and his wife, forgot what the wife's name was, but they the ones that ran the horse ranch. They were always getting along with each other and everything. And Francis and Piama were always arguing it all the time. And he said something to Otto about it. He's like don't you ever notice that you do more of this chore than the other chore? And then all of a sudden they start bickering and fighting. And then he says something to one of the guests, and the guests start fighting amongst themselves because who does the chores. And I think that's where the problem comes in, is when you can't do things necessarily always just because they have to be done. That's a good motivation, but you should also do them because you want to do them, because you care about the people that you live with, or, in the case of the girls picking up the trash, you care about the community around you. It's about showing others that you actually care about them. There's the 5 love languages or whatever, and that's one of the love languages is service. It's not to say that you should be a slave or in servitude, but you shouldn't look at doing those daily chores as necessarily just something that has to be done, because it does need to be done, but also that you're helping, like you said, you're helping your kids or your wife come home and have a relaxed day because they've already done the things that they're doing. What are you going to do all day? Just sit around and just leave the stuff there for them to do? I mean, I haven't been working a lot the last few months because of having mental health problems. So, I don't just sit on my ass all day. Some days I get up and I, clean stuff or rearrange things or do whatever needs to be done, because, I don't want them to have to do that on top of the days that they're already having.
I think I sat here Monday. I released a video last week. I forget what day it was, but I sat here the whole day getting it up, and I finally got the video up at like 4 o'clock. 3:30. My first kid gets home at 3:20, and the second kid gets home just after 4, and it's like I haven't done the dishes or anything else today. I'm trying to get this video posted, get people to see it, and she's out there. Before I said anything, she's out there washing cups. I'm like, what are you doing? No. Here in a few minutes, I'll wash the dishes. Sit down, relax. No, I'm bored. I'm going to wash. So sit down. I would have gotten to it, but I was busy. She's like, I know. I'm just going to get them done. And we don't fight about, hey, why didn't you do the dishes? It's,
exactly.
Well, there's dishes here. I'm going to go wash them real quick,
That's why I appreciate it.
We don't.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. We don't. We have this new thing we did for the last couple months. We don't clean up after dinner. When we're all done eating, we all kind of go sit and relax together after dinner. Kind of a continuation of the chat we've started to have, or everybody goes to get their relax time, and then in the morning, when I get up way earlier than everybody else, I'll gather all the dishes together, put them in the sink, get things together, and then by the time they get up and moving around, it's clean, relaxing day. My wife I made her lunch twice this week. I don't do it every day, but one of those, hey, just because.
Yeah. And that's why I appreciate my relationship with my wife so much. I mean, we've been dating since we were sophomores in high school, married 13 years. So, we're literally best friends, which helps a lot because I don't feel like we have these petty household squabbles like a lot of relationships do, because we're not sitting there looking at each other like, well, why didn't you do this? And why aren't you doing that? Because we see the bigger picture and see what each other brings to the table. I mean, when I am working, I do work a few more hours than my wife, and I work 10-hour days when I'm working. So on those days, I don't have time to do anything else. But my wife, because she's got time and she's a second shifter, so she's got time in the mornings and the afternoon, she gets something ready. So that way, by the time I get home at 6:30 at night, all I got to do is take whatever she's already got prepared for dinner and either warm it up in the oven or just do the last two steps of something so that way we can eat. So we're not, my wife, the daughter and I aren't waiting until, 8 o'clock at night to eat.
And it's, I'd hate to say it this way, I'm going to take a quick 5, but I got to run and grab a drink and use the bathroom.
Sure.
It's awesome when the worst argument that you have most nights is, well, I don't know what I want for dinner. What do you want for dinner?
Exactly. That's what we argue about the most. We call it food ruts, where you've had something too much and then you just can't think of anything else to have, and you're like, I don't want that though.
Oh, I concoct new recipes all the time, but I have to relieve. I'll be right back.
All right, dude. All right, let's check out what's going on in the chat. So, Wolf Hat, you do weight training at a sports club. I really need to start hitting the gym because I'm probably 25, 30 pounds overweight, and I could stand to, shed some pounds, but I have joint problems, so my knees and hips in particular really suck, so it's hard for me to do any exercise, really. Golf. I play golf a little bit. I'm not a naturally good golfer, but I'm all right, I guess. Cricket is like golf. Played baseball and was easy for you. I've seen your comments about baseball, Adrian. I'd say cricket and baseball are different. I appreciate the bowlers in cricket, but if you ever went against a professional pitcher in baseball, yeah, the way they bend pitches, man, no. Hitting major league pitching is incredibly difficult. That's why the successful batters are only hitting the ball about 3 out of 10 times. And that's the good ones. I like baseball because it's a thinking man's sport. There's a lot more to it than just throwing a ball past a guy standing there with a wooden stick. I don't know enough about cricket, though. I'd really like to learn more, though. I don't seldom ever see it on TV. And rugby is like a lot different than football. Actually, I'm pretty sick of American football, to be quite honest.
Cricket's the one with the little hoops, right? Where you got to bounce it through the arches.
No, that's croquet.
Croquet. All right. See.
I know cricket's where they have the batters. They use like a kind of like a wider sort of, I don't know what they call
the
it.
Flat bat.
Yeah, like a bat, a wide bat, and then the bowlers like they bounce the pitch past the guy. And I think they can hit it in more than one direction too. It's not like a baseball where I don't know if they have foul lines quite the same way. I've seen a little bit of it on YouTube, and I've seen some pretty awesome defensive plays. There's some awesome catches and things that happen in cricket, just like in baseball. It's pretty impressive.
I'm not much of a sports man myself.
I'm a big sports guy. That's my distraction from the world.
Oh, everything distracts me from the world. But no, I haven't really been into sports for years. I have a little motto with sports that is, it's not as much fun if you're not playing.
Oh.
If you're not involved, it just doesn't seem as much fun. Like, I can go watch a football game on TV, cool. I can go play football and knock a few people over, I'm in.
Oh, I can certainly understand that perspective, but for me, I like seeing anybody doing anything at a high level, and the people that do that professionally can do it on a level that neither I nor anybody else I know or would ever be able to have the opportunity to play with can do. So it satisfies my, I guess, gladiator needs to see, some people out there, really doing something well. I mean, even like I'm into racing too. I don't watch any series like avidly, but I'm big into cars, and I used to autocross and ice race when I had my Subaru, and I just like seeing those guys too, like race car drivers pushing a car to the edge of its limits is, you know, it's for some people it's boring as watching paint dry on TV. For me though, because I've done it to some extent, it's just amazing to me to see that what they can do with a vehicle that I and most other people can't do.
I actually made my dad very angry one time. I was living with him for a while when I finally met him, and he took me to a racetrack to watch out west, and the seats were $400 and something.
Wow.
Yeah, and I didn't like the seats, so about 10 minutes into the race, I wandered down and started walking around all the concessions. I don't know if you've ever been to a race, but all around there's all sorts of fun stuff to do, things to buy, things to see. There's like Cabo Wabo girls playing volleyball, and there's like Skull racetracks where you can drive these little cars through this little racetrack in these tents, and granted, you know, half naked women all over the place. So, you know, there's plenty of fun to be had. If you walk down next to the racetrack, there's usually on some of the curves, the concrete gate where the fence is on the edge is only like 10, 15 feet away from the edge of the track. And they'll come around some of those corners doing like 160. And as they're coming, you can feel the ground start to shake beneath you. Mm-hmm. And then as they go by, you can literally feel it's like thunder hitting the ground. Boom, 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 boom. And you're just shaking. And all of a sudden, the fence starts to slowly stop vibrating, and they're gone. You're like, oh, that was so cool.
Yeah, there's nothing like seeing a car pushing north of 150 come blasting past you.
And feel the ground just shake. And it's not like a huge rumble. It's just like it starts off as a nice slow vibration as they're coming in. And all of a sudden, you can feel your feet are almost leaving the insides of your shoes as they're going by. And it's like it's hard to explain. It's like getting hit with a big burst of air every time one of them goes by, and it's like, and then 7 or 8 of them, and whoop, 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 whoop. You're like, oh, wow, catch my breath for a second there. Whoa. Just the thrill of it, and just the speed and the velocity they're coming up on you as they hit some of those corners is just like, whoa, that was awesome.
My aunt and uncle used to live near Road America in Wisconsin, and I liked going to their house in the summer times because you could hear the roaring of the engine. And that's like a 4.2 mile track, and there's a couple of long straightaways, and that like you just hear those cars. It's like, Jesus Christ. And that's from a couple miles away.
Oh, it's exhilarating. I've gotten some good premier chances in my life to do some real fun things, and I will tell you, if you ever get the chance to go spend $500 on a ticket, don't sit in your seat. Go down by the track and just stand there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm a big fan of. I don't like NASCAR so much. No, I respect all racing, but they do too many left turn tracks and not enough road courses. And I'm more into road courses. But like one of my bucket list things I want to do is go out to California and see a race at Laguna Seca, because it's got the corkscrew part of the track. That's one of the most unique features of any racetrack that there is.
I want to say the track I was at was the old Sears Point. I think it's now called Infineon.
Yeah. Now Sears Point's one of 2 places that NASCAR actually goes to, and I would go see a NASCAR race at one of those tracks. But I've been to what they used to call the Busch Series. I think they call it the Nationwide Series now. But at Milwaukee Mile, I saw a race there one time, and it was still pretty cool. But just not my thing. Just to watch people go around and around in a circle all day. I like to see them change elevation and make lefts and rights, and because that's the thing that people don't realize is, you know, there's if you haven't raced before, is when you're cresting a hill and making a turn, it's like you got to think of your think of a car's 4 wheels almost like a dog or something that's on 4 feet. It's like as you're cresting those corners and going around turns, it takes weight off or puts more weight onto if you're going downhill on different parts of the car. So it makes it even more challenging than when you're just going around in a circle over and over again.
I think you said on your last stream, you and I were I was chatting with you that time. You were doing, I think you said you've gotten up to 130, 125, 130 yourself?
135 is the fastest I've ever been in a car on my own.
You're at 137.
Oh, wow.
137. And oh my God, it's a weird feeling when you're doing 100 and something miles an hour and you can feel your foot's not even far enough down you can keep going. Like when you feel you have more power to use, and you're like, okay, I'm starting to shake just because I'm scared.
Yeah, that's where I was at with it, because I did it in my STI, and I was on a country road, and it was right at the time of year where they cut all the corn down. So I was on a back road, and you could see, you can see for a good long ways in all directions. So I was like, well, I'm going to give her. And it started getting about 135, and I'm just like, man, this car's got more, but I'm so scared because the lightest imperfection in the road, can send you veering off into a ditch. And it's like, no. But it was exhilarating as all hell, though.
Oh, it's absolutely anything, and that it starts because you're not supposed to do over 100 anywhere for any reason, and then when you get to 100, like, wow, this ain't so bad. 105, okay, this is starting to get cool. 110, all right, now I'm moving. 120, all right, how much faster can I go? 130, a little bit more, oh shit, nope, no more, that's it, that's all I got.
Yeah, I went over 100 on my motorcycle one time, but it wasn't like a crotch rocket. It was a Yamaha, or not a Yamaha, a Honda cruising bike. It was 1100cc bike. So I got up there and I'm like, holy fuck. And I'm like, but yeah, again, just like the thought of like a tire blowing out or the least little bit of something going wrong all of a sudden creeps into your head, and you're like, okay, I'm good. I made it.
I'll back up about 5-10 miles an hour and I'll just relax right there, comfortably going. I'm not gonna. Oh, I know that feeling. Oh, of course, I used to live out in California with a sports car, so I know that feeling.
Yeah. All I could do is a lot of straight line stuff when I had my STI, because where I lived in Northeast Wisconsin, there just wasn't a lot of curvy roads unless you drove about 45 minutes to the west or another 45 minutes to the south, because otherwise it was just a lot of flat farmland where I lived.
Now, even with curves, though, I have to tell you, I've taken some massive bad curves. I've had some bad days in my Mustang. If it's wet or, the curve's wrong and you hit a bump going into the curve, a car, no matter how well it's designed to hold the road at whatever speed, when you hit a curve, you lose like a half of your mass, and you basically just moving on momentum.
Not only that, but it's also easier to point yourself around the wrong way with a rear-wheel drive car. With an all-wheel drive car, it gives you an incredible amount of confidence.
Even a front-wheel drive car is awesome.
Faster than I ever should have.
You can take a curve awesome in a front-wheel drive car, just don't let off the gas. You do that in a rear-wheel drive car, you're losing it.
That's why I always like that's why I always kind of tease people about Mustangs, because they're cool, but the problem is they're the most common sports car there is, so complete mutts buy them a lot of times, and then you always can tell that when the person's had their first time out in a rear wheel drive car and it rains and they can barely keep the car going straight because they just keep giving it way too much gas, and they think it's fun because they're like, oh, I'm like drifting, but then all of a sudden they're facing 180 the opposite direction.
Fuck you, dude. I will tell you a story which will illustrate that to the T. I bought my Mustang. I had never owned a 5-speed. I've never driven a manual or a sports car. Okay? So I test drove this car, drove it around this lot out in California, which was huge. And somebody
we cut out a little bit better.
drove it once. I'm buying out for a few hours, finished all the paperwork, drove it home for second. It had rained just a hair bit. In California roads, in the fall when it first rains, they're slick. It's like driving on ice. The road, and I hit the gas just ever so lightly, and I lived in town. Spun 270 degrees, and I turned around, I drove home, I got in my other car, and then I went for a drive. And I was like, I'm not driving this today. Nope, not doing it. I just bought it yesterday. First day in it, first day driving standard, and I almost wrecked it at the end of the road. Didn't even hit the gas. The car just sat there and spun in a circle. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's how my cousin was in the Air Force out in LA for a couple of years, and he just got out of there earlier this year. But he has a Hyundai Genesis coupe, and he tagged a median because it rained, and he's like, damn, he goes, I have an easier time driving this in Wisconsin in the in the wintertime. And I was like, well, it might have something to do with the fact, because I don't know how much rain they really get there, but it's like I do know that happens here sometimes in St. Louis when it hasn't rained for a while, because cars that aren't well sealed underneath anymore, they lose little bits of oil and stuff onto the ground. So that first rainfall you have, even if it's been 10 days or 2 weeks since the last time that it
doesn't even take that. It takes a decent, usually about 80-degree day or above, and the road will just slowly absorb rubber from tires, and it just fills in.
Didn't even think about that. Yeah.
It happens a lot in California. I know I was driving a four-wheel drive Jeep in four-wheel drive into a parking lot in a light sprinkle, and I slid down it like it was a sheet of ice because it was the first drop of rain all fall. And when I say fall, I mean like I'm not out in Cali now. I think it should be raining this month or next month, and that starts fall. I forget. I'll have to call my family out there and see how it's going. But yeah, when that first rain at the end of the year, when it starts raining until it washes away some of the tire residue, the roads are just slick like ice in the east.
Do you get ruts there like we do here? Because in the summertime, it gets up to good 9,500 degrees for long stretches. So like the asphalt literally like warps from the weight of the traffic going over it. So that creates an additional problem whenever it rains as well, because then you get these like little troughs of standing water because the road surface isn't flat anymore.
Out in California, again, I lived near Sacramento when I lived out there, a little north and a little east of Sacramento. Citrus Heights area, El Dorado for a while. The roads out there, they don't run underground sewage. They run ditches or concreted on the sides of the roads, and all of the roads angle to the ditches, and the ditches all angle downward so that all the water stays perpetually moving.
I got you. I think we do get ruts out in New Mexico.
We get ruts bad out on the East Coast, depending on where you are. I know a lot of spots in northern Pennsylvania, upstate New York, up toward Buffalo, even when I was out in that area, they get some real massive ruts when the snowplows come through.
Yeah, that's a whole nother experience.
That's a whole nother experience. Springtime in the Northeast, after the plows are done, the roads are just like 3-foot wide holes, 8 inches deep.
Yeah, that happens in Wisconsin a lot too. There's basically the joke there is always there's 2 seasons, winter and road construction.
Yeah.
The plows tear stuff up bad because they're literally plowing almost every other day.
If they're not plowing, they're salting, and that just dries out the moisture from the concrete, which gives area for the water to get into it, and then the water mixes with the salt and it tears away at the outer levels of the concrete, and then the water gets in even farther, and then they put down the salt. Yeah, and that's how it happens. Oh, let's see. What else is going on in chat here? Grand Prix front wheel drive with traction control. Yes, the Grand Prix, what year? The 90s, like mid 90s, 93 to 97 with the traction control in it. They're nice. I've had way too many cars, so.
I've had a few, but I don't know. My car now, I hate it.
I kind of like the vehicle I have now. I have an old Explorer. But because it was my mom's truck, I'm finishing paying it off. I just got rid of a Taurus. They're good, but they're garbage. They're good because they're a dime a dozen and cheap to fix. They're garbage because you're always going to be fixing them. Then I've got a Subaru out here that I just bought that I need to fix up.
Oh, what'd you get?
And I got an Escort. It's an old Forester.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's in good shape. It just needs a muffler, a knock sensor, and a rotor and some brakes.
No, that's not so bad.
No, not for what I paid for it. It's got an oil leak, but I think that might have to do with the knock sensors. I haven't sat and looked at it yet because I don't want to invest any money into it. It's a beater car for a while, just an extra vehicle.
Yeah.
Especially in the winter, you never know.
My uncle will try my vehicles in the winter because it's a rear-wheel drive, but I got a third vehicle for the first time in my life, and it really sucks that I got to pay like $30 a month for insurance on a vehicle that gets driven like 100 miles a month tops.
Yeah, I have two properties, not legally, but technically I have two properties. It will be legally next year. I left two of my cars at the other property. My Mustang hasn't been on the road in a decade now, so it's just kind of sitting there. I've gone through and started cleaning it up to run again, but I haven't finished it. That's definitely a project. And then I have an Escort just chilling that I bought, and it ran good for a few months, and then it started knocking, so I just parked it and let it set. So
Can't believe there's a little Escort that's roadworthy.
Yeah, right. I still have them both insured to sit on a separate property, so my insurance is charging me like $80 a month for those two cars right now.
Yeah,
if I can move them down here, I save $35 per car.
Jesus.
Yeah, but I can't move them down here because the truck that I own, U-Haul will not rent me a trailer to move my cars. So if I want to move them, I have to rent a truck and a trailer. It's like, gee, I don't want to spend $100 plus mileage to move two cars. 45 was all right. 100 and something plus mileage is going to get on my nerves.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I don't know. Insurance is something I'm a little irritated with too. I feel like I'm being charged an awful lot of money for being faithful to the same insurance company for 21 years and having just a couple of really minor recordable accidents that didn't amount to, anything big at all.
Oh, I've had a couple accidents, nothing really major. My major one was when I was in high school. Somebody stopped to let me out of a gas station, and as I'm coming out into the lane, somebody went around the person at high speed and creamed across the front of my car. And as they came across the front of my car, I was driving an old 80s. I was driving the 88 Regal we were talking about in chat, and it has a steel bumper. So as their car came up flying by and my nose came out, I hit the passenger side door of their car and cut like a 8-inch wide gash from the passenger side door all the way to the rear tire as they went across the front of my car.
Oh.
And I ended up being charged for that. So, yeah, that was an interesting accident. I've always loved old cars after that. Always loved those steel bumpers.
Yeah. I got old 80'd one time too. I had one of those shitty plastic Saturns, and I was on my way to go to when I used to be in a band. I was on my way to go to band practice, and I stopped in this little grocery store, or not grocery store, but convenience store thing to get a couple of energy drinks and a pack of smokes. And I went to go back out, and she confused the gas for the brake pedal, and just right up from the gas pump, just shot out like a rocket and slammed into me. Ended up driving into the yard of the house next door to the convenience store across the street, managed to squeeze in between this house and a big tree, crashed through the side of this garage, and then ended up stopping, like half crashed out the front of the garage. And I was like, holy shit, what just happened? And then
wow.
Then these people were like helping getting her out. And then I saw it was like some 80 or some old year woman. And then when I got sent the accident report afterwards, like, oh, the throttle got stuck. It's like, bullshit, there wasn't a brake light the whole entire time. I bet you two drove the first car. Fuck you. I'm not that old. My first car was a 1970 Chevy C10 pickup truck, though. That was 10 years older than me.
My first car, I got to drive it once. It was handed to me. Was an 81 Buick Regal Classic Coupe, and I got to drive it once, and then my mom let my grandpa borrow it, and the motor blew a few days later. So I started dismantling it, and then that kind of went to hell. As I got halfway through dismantling it, I was given for $500 an 88 Buick Regal Limited Coupe. And the first thought in my head was, I'm going to take that 88 coupe and put it into the 81 and make the 81 run better, which I'm so glad I didn't, because when I finally got down to the bottom of the 81, the transmission was shot.
Yeah, so but that the 88 that was probably the same body style as my wife's 83 Cutlass that she had then, because those are the same.
The 81 was. Yes,
Yeah.
the 81 was. The 81, 82, 83 had the old Cutlass style body.
Yeah.
When they started doing the new Regals in 86, either 86 or 87, they changed the Regal to a sport model.
Yeah, because it was like a Monte Carlo then, and then you had the Grand National, which was one of the
Right.
best cars in the 80s.
I had the 88 Regal Limited Sport Coupe with the 3.1 24 valve dual overhead cam. One of the first years they started putting in that 24 valve VTEC motor in, that V6 VTEC, or not the VTEC, the V6 DOHC motors that they now almost put entirely in Ford.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the name of that motor. There is a name for it. It's a 3.1 liter V6 24 valve overhead cam, but there's actually a name for the motor. I've had 2 cars with it in there, and that motor is just, oh my God, those 3.1s are amazing. They don't give up. You can sit there with your foot on the throttle in the snow, and the tires will just keep turning and turning and turning. There's no hesitation. There's no give. It just, I want to go.
Irate Bear's making fun of us for being old, and he's like, Cutlasses, you two were pirates in the 1700s.
Oh.
I do feel like an old man sometimes. I swear my dad put so much pressure on me to grow up all the time that I was like the world's oldest 20-year-old when I was 20. So now that I'm pushing 40, I feel like I'm 80 already.
I know. I was working 3 jobs at 20, taking care of myself, and I've always had to buy everything I wanted. Now here I am handing my kids stuff going, damn, I'm getting old. You guys need to start working for something. Trust me, you're at this point too. It's like, geez, you buy a house, you get a couple of car payments, you sit down once every week or two going, okay, we're $10 short this week, but next week will be okay. Damn, I'm getting too old. I don't want to deal with this shit. I just got too many bills.
Mitigating debt, although with my missing work because of mental illness, though, now I've run up a bunch of debt on my credit card. But back in February, we were completely had everything paid off, back to square one for once in our lives. But then my wife's car went to shit, and we had to get her a new one. And car payments I don't look at as too bad, long as you try to keep it reasonable. But yeah, now I've run up thousands of dollars just trying to keep myself in food.
Yeah, I'm getting there to that point where I budgeted everything out to get me through. In June and July, I set up the rest of the year's budget to get us through, and this is how much we're estimated to make this year. We'll take this much away to be safe, and then we'll do this. And I had a workup. And, okay, cool. Let's put this much in savings, leave it there, not touch it. A month ago, my toilet ballast, that little thing when you hit the knob, it adjusts the water flow in the back.
Yeah.
That thing goes. So I go to replace that, and on my way to shut off the valve's messed up. So I go to the next shut off, and there's mold in the floor. So I go to replace that part of the floor, and there's broken pipes. So I go to move a few things around, replace things, and everything's trashed. So in the end, I spent $1,400 rebuilding my entire bathroom floor, walls, everything, and the only thing I didn't replace was the toilet.
Shadow Kane says, I'm staring at my first VCR right now. Goddamn right how old I am. I think I was saying that in a chat. I don't know if it was on mine or a stream. I don't know if it was mine or somebody else's, but I was like, kids, like I'm to the point where I have people I work with that I'm old enough to be their dad. And, I said something about VHS the other day. They're like, what? I'm like, you don't know VHS and beta? What's a beta? Like, oh my God.
Would you like me to go pop on a 45 real quick?
Exactly. Well, I tell them I got a record player, and they're like, "What's a record player?" I'm like, the vinyl records, the big black things. Oh, my grandpa's got some of those.
I've got some. I've got Van Halen, and I've got The Doors, and I've got Pink Floyd, and I've got Elton John. I've got tons of records out there. I love to turn that thing up, just blast off some records with that little crackle in the sound. There's nothing like you don't get that out of a disc unless they program it in, and it's not the same.
No, you sure don't. I've got probably, I don't know, a good 250, maybe 300 albums around here.
Oh, I don't have that many anymore. I got rid of a bunch when my wife threw my last record player out the door. I was like, fine, I'll just go sell my records. What the hell? So now I have left what I didn't want to part with and what I couldn't sell, which is like 40, and then my mom had 30 or 40 records, so I've got a couple of doubles player. So Oh, I love just once in a while open the windows up, turn the speakers out the windows, and just go outside and rake or something stupid with just vinyl playing.
The only
The
bummer thing with
neighbors
the
think it's
vinyl
cool
is you got
too.
to flip the side about every 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, so what?
But
I got one of those record players where when it gets to the end, it's not going to sit there and do that. It actually, when it hits the end and starts doing that, it automatically lifts and sets and waits for you.
oh yeah, mine too. I had one when I was a kid though that feature was broke. It would drag the needle back, but it didn't lift up anymore. I remember one time I
Oh,
did the same thing that you said, and I was playing a Michael Jackson record of all things, and I had the speakers pointed out the window, and I realized it was the end of the song. I'm like 7, 8 years old, and I started running into the house trying to get it in time, just in time to hear it go right across the record. Like, God damn it!
oh, it is the worst sound when you're accidentally doing that, or your lift drops because you accidentally tap that. Mine has like a lift key where you can move it
Yeah,
manually, or it'll automatically do it. But if you accidentally touch that lift key, it's very easy to knock the lift key to let it down, but then it slowly goes down. So as you're moving across, it'll go down into the record. It's like, oh,
ouch. That's something I told my wife I want for my 40th birthday. Is I the turntable I have now, she actually got me on a for Christmas one year, because the one that I was using before this was her dad's that he gave to me some years ago, but it had a problem where it would all of a sudden just take off and start playing really, really fast, and then you'd have to unplug it and plug it back in to get it to work. And you also needed an amp for it because it doesn't put out enough signal strength to just plug it like in the back of a modern, surround sound system kind of deal. So this one's cool because it's got its own built-in amp, and you can, just plug directly into my surround sound system and play it. But this thing though is not a belt drive; it's a direct drive. And the problem with those is after the brushes in them go bad after a while, then they also don't keep consistent speed, and the platter on it's like literally warps. So like it's even knowing this record player is only 10 years old, you can sit there and watch it like kind of warping back and forth.
yeah,
The album
mine is
warping.
too. But I want to say I have an old. Let's see if I can read from here. That looks like the Kenwood stereo. Yeah, that's my Kenwood. I have two stereos. I have a Sony and a Kenwood. One was my mom's, one my grandma's. I kind of lucked out in everything as bad as it was. It has a warp tray, but that thing, it's only warped like 2 millimeters in one section, and it's like 30 years old. That thing is swear
It's not
almost
bad.
as old as I am. Old as it is, my mom almost never uses. She's like, I don't want that needle broken. I can't replace it. My mom doesn't know that when I moved the record player down here, there was a spare needle tucked into it.
Oh, you can get needles too. They're not as hard to find as people think. They just cost a lot.
They were for a while though. Back in the late '90s, they got hard to find needles for a bit.
Oh yeah, but now
Now they're
now it's
making them again.
now listening to records has become an audiophile thing, so it's not like it used to be. There's a lot out there for record players now.
Well, she never wanted to use it because she's like, well, I don't want to break the needle. So once in a while, she'd play it. And then I moved it down here, and in a little tiny piece of plastic up inside under the arm is a little tiny needle tucked in plastic under the arm. I'm like, I wonder if my mom ever knew that was there.
Probably not. She probably thought she had the last needle in existence.
You know, it was like, I don't ever want to replace this because this is how much it was. And I mean, you know how old stereos are. I can get a stereo now for like $300-400 that'd be equivalent to a Kenwood 30 years old costing $1,000, which is what I have. So I have two old high-end stereos, which are really expensive, but do what a decent stereo nowadays will do with no problem. I can hook up massive amounts of sound to my house right now and put out enormous amounts. My neighbors would kill me.
That's awesome.
I just don't have enough speakers to cover all these stereos anymore.
Yeah, I'm listening to most of what I listen to now. I listen to on my the studio monitors that I have for doing my recording, because all the stuff I have for recording, Baron gave me a little shopping list. So he's like, buy these speakers, buy this interface, buy this preamp, and buy all this stuff. Like, all right, so now the speakers I have sitting on top of my desk are better than the ones that come out of my surround sound.
I just set up a desk to work on. I was taking my laptop out on the coffee table, hooking it up to the big screen, and just like for the day, but I just finally set a desk up so I have somewhere to work and leave my notebook so it's not everywhere. And I took one of the stereos and set it up here. I need to find a cable to connect my computer through the stereo into the speakers I got here so that I can run my headset and microphone separately, because the headset I'm using is a set. It's a headset microphone piece, Turtle Beach.
Okay.
If I disconnect it from here and run it through my stereo, the stereo won't run the mic accessory. I can run the headset through here and use the mic on my laptop, which is far better than this one.
Yeah, that would be nice. Having a good mic definitely makes a difference.
I mean, I do intend to, if ever I get there and have the money to spend, I intend to put money into making videos. Like, okay, can I make my audio better with the $30, $40 mic? Cool. I got 30, 40 bucks. Nope, not buying a mic.
Yeah.
But
I invested the money into some of this stuff up front just because I was trying to make a go at YouTubing before the apocalypse thing. But after that came, now I'm like, all right, now I'm only investing stuff if it helps me record music.
I jumped in doing videos just to see what people thought of my work for the most part. I really just jumped in to say, hey, you know what? Can I do this? I'm bored. I'm home all day. I got nothing better to do. And all these people I keep watching are like, yeah, this is the best time to start making videos. So I started making videos, signed up, set an account up, and then it's like, oh yeah, no more ads. You know, April, whatnot, is when everything started really changing. It's like, okay, no ads. I can deal with that for a while. Okay, now you got to have 10,000 viewers to apply for ads. It's like, okay, where am I on my other channel? Other channel, I'm nowhere close. Okay, where am I on? I got quite a ways to go. I'm giving it the Christmas test. If I can find a job before Christmas, then I'll be working. If I can't, then and make money off of this before Christmas, I'll do this. Otherwise, I might just find a new hobby that work or something. Now that I have a garage and all the tools set up, I can go out and make furniture for a few $100s.
Yeah, no, I started doing this just because I had something to say, but then when I realized that you could potentially make some money at it too, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. So, you know, I invested in some better equipment to try to facilitate that. But the problem is I invested more back into it than I ever made out of it. So, you know, I got $1,400 worth of PC equipment that I made maybe $600 back on, all in all, before the apocalypse. So I'll never see what I invest in this back. But at least though, it got me the PC that allows me to do recording and stuff. So if I hadn't started this YouTube thing, I wouldn't be able to do what I do now.
I bought this. This computer is going to be 2 years old here in a couple of months. It's a 15.5 inch flip top tablet laptop. It's got this thing was top of the line, like one of the best laptops you could buy anywhere when I bought it for $1,000. It's got a NVIDIA GeForce 840. Oh, it's got an 840. It's got the i7. It's got Energy Star. It's all touch screen and tablet. I mean, it works as a tablet, a computer. It's got a ROM drive. It doubles as a battery. So if my phone dies and I have my computer on me, it's got a power charge port. Will charge my phone up in just a couple of hours.
Nice. Yeah, my computer is a budget PC, and then I upgraded a bunch of stuff on it. So I made myself a pretty nice PC for about $600. But then my double wide monitor was like $200, and if I count the furniture I bought to put the stuff on, which wasn't a lot because I bought stuff off of Craigslist, but still, it's all expenses.
Yeah, I didn't buy this to do videos, though. I bought it as a, hey, my computer's failing. I need a new computer, and I might as well buy something that's going to last and do whatever I wanted. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to play Minecraft on this. And it's like, cool, this computer's awesome. Oh, I'm going to do videos on this. Oh, cool, this computer's awesome. Oh, I'm going to do graphics and 3D and videos. Well, this computer's cool. I'm going to need something a little better if I keep going with the 3D and the graphics that I'm doing, because some of this is just taxing my system.
Yeah.
Even with the graphics card. I'm running my NVIDIA card at like 80 and 90% trying to create some of these videos. It's like, okay, I need something better.
Yeah, my render time's stupid because I don't have a separate video card. I'm just running whatever's built into the motherboard. So like rendering a 20-minute video takes like an hour.
Oh, well, lucky you. I don't know if it's what I'm doing or how I'm doing it, but I make most of my own stuff. Like when I started, it was just pictures and downloads and clips and cutting things in and commentating on videos. Now I'm kind of doing I have something to say, but I'm not going to direct it right at anybody. I'm just going to generically say this, and I'm going to create my own clips to say it. So I have a 4-minute video I just did about shapes. It took almost 2.5 hours to render.
Ooh.
Because of everything in the video, I created the square. Then I went through and decorated the square. Then I imported it into the video maker. Then I made the square do this, and this. Then I make it do this, and that. And everything in there, I'm trying to create from scratch so that I don't have to keep adding in the resources tabs as long as I was.
I don't do anything that fancy. I just have my background, my avatar, and occasional pictures or video. So yeah, it doesn't take that much resources. I imagine if I had your video card, you probably would render out my stuff in probably 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, with this computer doing a normal video, when I was just, before I put the 3D in, before I added all the extra features and started doing some of the cool stuff with transparencies and things that I'm still learning, it would take me like half an hour, 45 minutes to render out a commentary video with some picture changes and this and that I was doing on the other computer. On this one, it was a couple minutes, and it's like, okay, well, that took no effort at all. Now I want to do something cool. All right, what can I do? And I just started, okay, I can make this. I'm working on a gun video right now. I literally just downloaded a photo of a gun, took the photo and put it in my resources tab as, you know, I used this picture as a resource. Then I took the entire background off the gun, saved that. Then I took the trigger out of the gun, separated the two of them. Then I put the trigger back in the gun, made it move, took a bullet, put the bullet in the gun, sized it to the size of the chamber, made the bullet move out of the gun and behind my figure. And I was like, oh, that looks cool. I'm going to turn that into a GIF, and I'm going to put it on Twitter.
Nice.
So it's like a 5-second or 3 to 5 second clip on Twitter of me shooting myself in the head with a gun, and I did all the animation for.
That's cool. I do not have those skills, but I'm impressed with people that do.
I don't have them either. It's like, you know what? I want to see this. How do I make this happen? All right, 3 hours later, how long? I have 40 seconds of work for 3 hours? Come on! And then it takes me another 3 hours to render it out because of all the work I put into it. It's like, all right, fine. Now I got to get people to look at my shit. Is it worth making or is it not worth making? What do I do?
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel right now. But I don't know, dude. I think I'm going to wind down here. I should probably do something more constructive than just doing a live stream today at some point. But it's been awesome having you on. We haven't actually.
Oh, yeah, it's been great chatting with somebody.
Yeah, but anytime I'm on and I don't have anybody on, you're definitely welcome again.
All right, I'll hit you up. I pay attention to everybody. I look for reasons to stop because I stare at my screen for so long. It's nice just to sit back and listen or whatnot. So when I see a live stream, I jump right in. Usually it's Bear.
Yeah, right on.
Oh, he's already gone. But, you know, I just, something to do. I got to get ideas from somebody. Somebody says something. It's like, oh, you know what? That sounds cool. How can I make that look neat in a video? Okay. Even my Candace Owens video, I was just watching her response from that show this morning from the weekend. Even my Candace Owens video, I didn't go through and cover opposite. I went back and said, okay, well, what happened that made her go here? And I said, okay, this is what happened to her in high school, which she freely says, so let's explore that, and we'll see where we built up to where she is now. So this happened to her, which brought her to where she is now, and this is why she does it. But does she realize that this is what's happening? And just try to hit things from a different angle than everybody else, so I don't feel like I'm contributing to the drama, quote-unquote drama.
Yeah, that's really what you got to do anymore. If you're going to do something, you got to make yourself stand out.
So, all right, like you said, I'm going to go get a bite to eat, snack,
right on.
I will catch you another time.
All right, we'll talk soon.
All right, chat, have a good day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.